Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Happy to be here on this Sunday. I'm out of town. My Wi-Fi is spotty. I'm in the Windy City. Things are happening, but I'm happy to be back. I got to tap in with my community because I'm excited. There's some great things happening. Going to DC was very powerful, very emotional too, just to see the amount of work that's going on. I've been moving around, uplifting the community, uplifting the work that's happening in San Francisco. When we talk about reparations, Dreamkeeper Initiative, the things that are happening, whew, it's phenomenal. But there's some amazing legislative folks. There's some amazing folks behind the scenes that are fighting for community, putting policies in place so that our communities can be impacted. And I'm just excited. I'm energized, as they say. I'm re-energized to be out, to see what's going on, to see the young people. Let me tell you, DC is really moving. There's some young folks that are moving in our legislative spaces. There are some folks who are using their thinking caps to make things happen. And I'm excited to see some of the things that's coming down the pipeline, and then here in community as we continue to organize and do the work we're doing here in the Bay Area to impact our communities. Okay, it's going to be a great year as we step into 2024. Y'all know there's a lot of elections coming up, a lot of seats that's going to be opening, a lot of folks running for re-election. It is time for our community to get out and vote, make sure that your voices is heard, and be a part of the process. It's your civic duty to make change in our community. With that being said, it's been a while since I've been here with the team. Brother Mark, what's going on? Talk to the people.
Whoa, come on, community. As always, glad to be here on another episode of Both Sides of the Conversations. Bishop, it is definitely glad to see you, brother. I know you've been out there busy networking and making things happen for the community to bring back. So we're definitely glad to have you. And of course, Sister Ayo, as always, it's a pleasure to see you. And I'm excited about this conversation. I think this is probably one of the fundamental core conversations that really impacts our society. And I'm glad to be here. So look forward to the conversation. We've got some amazing guests this evening.
Man, definitely. I'm looking forward to the conversation. It's been a minute since I've heard some real power, some real unity. I had to get back on. Said, hey, I know the bishop will be back. People texting me, where you at? You moving around? I see you here. I said, we got to have some conversations, community. We got some work to do. Sister Ayo, I see you smiling. It must be something good going to happen today. What's going on, Queen?
Definitely. First and foremost, it's been a great weekend. I was out in the community this weekend at the pop-ups on the plaza event. It was so much Black joy going on. Okay. I got to meet some really great Black businesses, entrepreneurs, excuse me, and just being enveloped in our culture. It was very informative, but it was a great nostalgia feeling just all around. And like I said, it was faces of all colors, shapes, sizes, creeds, everything. But to see our people standing at the forefront and being highlighted in that way, it was just so amazing, so amazing. I'm definitely excited about today's conversation, and our expert who we have coming on is going to be a very phenomenal show today.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. When we talk about Black families, the dynamics of the home front, very important stuff as we continue to find ways to move our community forward. It starts in the home, starts with the adults. A lot of problems that we're dealing with in the communities because the home front, okay, the fathers, the mothers, the grandparents, the aunties, the community leaders. It's all part of the home front. We all connected. So I'm looking forward to today conversation as well. We got to build this. We got to revamp what this village look like, what this home front look like. We got a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion going on in our community, and we got to change the narrative. So I'm glad to be here to hear this conversation today and change that narrative. But with that being said, Mark, go ahead and jump into the news, brother. Tell me what's going on in the Bay. Tell me what's going on back home.
Absolutely will do. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into the headlines in. And our first local headline, more than 30 nonprofits allege San Francisco is delaying their funding. Over 30 nonprofits in San Francisco have accused the city of delaying their payments for work they've already completed, leading many of these organizations to consider hiring freezes, staff reductions, and even shutting down programs. Despite contracts being finalized during city budget discussions in June, funds meant to reimburse the nonprofits have not been released. The reason for this delay remains unclear, with some suggesting the holdup is at the city attorney's office, possibly due to a stringent review process. This has affected essential services, with some nonprofits struggling to make payroll and assist those in need, particularly in the areas like eviction prevention. Also, in the local headlines, latest pedestrian death in San Francisco prompts calls for safer roads. After another pedestrian was fatally struck by a car turning onto Valencia Street, there are mounting calls for improved traffic safety in San Francisco's Mission District. This recent incident marks the 14th pedestrian death in the city this year. Local shop owner Amnesia Doles expressed concerns over the safety of Valencia Street and pointed out that some recent road modifications might have inadvertently increased danger. Jody Medeiros, executive director of Walk San Francisco, has suggested eliminating certain left-hand turns on Valencia and adding calming measures like speed bumps. The proposals come on the heels of recent roadway changes, including a central bike lane on Valencia, which some residents believe have exacerbated safety issues. Walk San Francisco plans to address their concerns in an upcoming Board of Supervisors meeting. And in national headlines, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to barge fresh water to Mississippi River. Saltwater intrusion from the Gulf of Mexico is endangering Louisiana's drinking water supply. In response, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers plans to transport 36 million gallons of fresh water daily to the lower Mississippi River and extend an underwater levee by 25 feet to better counteract the saltwater. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell declared an emergency, and the state will distribute bottled water to the city. And we're going to jump across the pond here for an international headline. London police refuses firearm duties over colleague's murder charge. Several London police officers have withdrawn their firearm duties in an unprecedented protest after a colleague was charged with the murder of Chris Kaba, a young black man, in September 22. This reaction from the officers sparked comments from Interior Minister Suella Braverman, emphasizing that firearm officers often face split-second decisions and shouldn't fear legal consequences when fulfilling their duties. UK police generally aren't armed, but those who are undergo rigorous training. The protesting officers, estimated to be about 100, surrendered their firearm accreditations. This development has prompted neighboring forces to support patrolling in London, and the Defense Ministry has agreed to provide counterterrorism backing. The Met expressed understanding for the officers concerned and mentioned that armed forces wouldn't be utilized for routine policing tasks. So that will do it for the headlines in the news.
You know what, Mark? I got to go back to the opening news about these nonprofits being impacted, and I'm calling out our city officials. Okay, our department heads. I'm calling out the city attorney. All right, because over these last couple of weeks, just playing back in my mind, going through the civil rights tour and just understanding how systems intentionally impact the Black community. Right now, we have a crisis in San Francisco when we talk about housing, when we talk about substance abuse, when we talk about the needs of violence prevention and the stuff that are going on to help our communities impact. When we have these delays, these impact our communities in ways that other communities are not impacted. So I challenge David Chu and the rest of the city officials. Y'all got to get it done. All right. I'll be back and we'll have this conversation. But again, we got to keep pushing forward. And it's terrible that we let politics get in the way of resources and services to our community. Again, another shot at our Black leadership. And I hope the community understands this. When I say we have Black leadership that are trying to move the needle to make sure that our Black folks, our brown folks, and our community folks who utilize these resources and these services get them. These are the politics that people play. And what happens is the community points the finger at the mayor. They point the finger at our supervisors. They point the finger at some of our other leaders that's moving our folks forward. And this is why we have to have this conversation, because this discrimination is hatred. to see Black folks being served in this city, it is terrible. All right. And we got to do something about it. And this is why I tell the community we must show up. When there's a call to action, we have to show up as community. But these are the games that are being played right now in these times that we are in. Right now is not the time. There's no time to be holding anything back for rainy days, for extra evaluation, and these games that they play in these loopholes to continue to oppress the Black and brown community. So again, community, do your part. Be a part of the movement. Be a part of the change. Be careful of the narrative that's sometimes put out in our community, especially in this time of Black leadership. We got to be careful. We got to stand with our leaders. We got to stand with our community organizations, and make sure that these folks are doing their jobs to make sure that the resources get to the people. With that being said, I'm going to pass it over to you, Io, but we got work to do. And when I come back, the knocking of the doors will continue. We have to stand against this oppressive system that continues to push down on the very people that need it the most, the Black and brown community, and we're not going to stand for it. But Io, go ahead and get to the events community. Check out what's going on in the community.
Join SFBLOC and its community partners for the African American Citywide Historic Context Statement Open Forum on September 25th, 4 to 7 p.m. at Dr. George W. Davis's Senior Citizen Center, located at 1753 Carroll Avenue in San Francisco. The Empress Theater hosts film director Britton Geiser's feature-length documentary, The 50, on Thursday, September 28th at 6 p.m. at 330 Virginia Street in Vallejo. Q&A to follow the screening. Join Bayview Makers Kitchen North for a Piano in the Pedals every Saturday in September from 12 to 1 p.m. at 4100 3rd Street in San Francisco. New vaccination site, COVID-19 booster and monkeypox antiviral pill treatment, Thursdays 1 to 5 p.m. at 330 Ellis Street, as well as Saturdays 12 to 4 p.m. at 1221 Mission Street in San Francisco. The Community Living Room, open all day, Monday through Friday, breakfast 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and grab and go lunch 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. at City of Hope Cafe, 750 Ellis Street in San Francisco. San Francisco HRC proudly presents a conversation with Nicole Hannah-Jones, October 5th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Doors will open at 5:30 at the Sidney Goldstein Theater, located at 275 Hayes Street in San Francisco. Join SFHRC for Pathways to the Parity 2023, Strategies for Transformational Economic Empowerment, October 5th and 6th, 2023 in San Francisco. San Francisco invites all Pathways to Parity 2023 conference attendees to join us for the summit closing celebration October 6th, 6 p.m. at City Hall North Light Court. All My Usos invites you to support its blood drive on October 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 2055 Sunnydale Avenue in San Francisco. Join the conversation at the YMCA Men's Harambe Cut Sock Talk for ages 14 and up with complimentary refreshments and swag. Thursday, October 12th from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Bayview YMCA, 1601 Lane Street in San Francisco. Discover CCSF for 12th grade families Saturday, October 14th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Ocean Campus at 50 Frida Kahlo Way in San Francisco. Multi-use building 140. Come out and learn why City College of San Francisco is a great choice. Push Dance Company Sanctuary Grand Opening will be Sunday, October 15th at 447 Mina Street in San Francisco. Tickets are on sale now. International Shakeout Day, October 19th. Join in on the world's largest earthquake drill. Register to participate. YCD presents the second annual District 10 Safety Plans Violence Prevention Peace Rally. There will be food, vendors, raffles, music, and more. Saturday, October 21st, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Monarch Gardens, 428 11th Street in San Francisco. San Francisco Safe will have a Halloween candy explosion on Saturday, October 29th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission is free, and the event will include food, carnival games, music, and more at Gilman Park, 903 Gilman Avenue in San Francisco. Farmers Market located at the Southeast Community Center, 1550 Evans Avenue, San Francisco, every Thursday now through November 30th. 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. They accept cash, debit, and EBT. OMI Cultural Participation Projects, The Lion King, Friday, December 8th at 7:30 p.m. at the Orpheum Theater, 1192 Market Street in San Francisco. The San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee cordially invites you to be a part of the conversation every second Monday in 2023. You may attend in person at City Hall, located at 1 Dr. Carlton B. Goodlick Place, or online by registering at the link below. Dreamkeeper SF invites you to join us for the community updates every third Wednesday in 2023. These meetings are open to the public via Zoom. For more information and the meeting link, please visit the site below. Wu Yi presents the Holiday Pajama Jam for the Bottles and Blanket Pantry on Saturday, December 16th, 2023, from 1 to 4 p.m. at 4900 3rd Street in San Francisco. They are a new nonprofit and donations are needed. OMI Cultural Participation Projects, The Wiz, Saturday, January 27th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. at the Golden Gate Theater, 1 Taylor Street in San Francisco. SF Human Rights Commission has a regular bi-monthly commission meeting on the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. in the City Hall in San Francisco City Hall Room 416. You can also attend via Zoom. Be a mentor in SFUSD. Join SFUSD's school-based mentoring program, Mentoring for Success. Sign up to volunteer as an individual or group mentor district-wide. Would you like to promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact? Sign up for our Hidden Gems show. Share your expertise on our Educational Thursdays or be a panelist on our Sundays conversation. Keep up with both sides of the conversation's latest shows and community outreach events. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can also subscribe to our newsletter at bsotc.org. BSOTC welcomes individuals who are interested in giving back to their community to join us as volunteers. We value the positive impact volunteers can make and invite you to be a part of our mission to uplift and support our community. BSOTC kindly requests your invaluable support for our podcast and community engagement endeavors. We cordially invite you to explore any of our donation links, as your generous contributions will greatly aid us in enhancing our programming. We would like to take this time to acknowledge the Dreamkeeper Initiative and its support of BSOTC's programming. The Dreamkeeper Initiative amplifies the voices and invests in San Francisco's diverse Black communities to reform public safety and address structural inequities in San Francisco. Join us this Tuesday, September 26th at 7 p.m. for our Hidden Gems show.
All right. Thank you, community, for being patient. We have to get our community announcements out there. We want to make sure the people in the community know what's going on, how to connect. All right, community, because I don't want to hear those excuses. I don't know how to get involved. I don't know where the event's at. What's going on? All right, we gave you enough information to connect. With that being said, I know you all been waiting patiently. We're going to go ahead and bring up our panelists for today. First, we're going to bring up this queen. She's been here before, Miss Penny McConnell. How you doing, Queen? Welcome to both sides of the conversation.
Thank you. Happy Sunday, everyone. Excited to be here for this conversation. It's going to be rich and insightful.
Well, I know you must not be a Raiders fan because you're here watching the game tonight, okay? All right. With that being said, we're gonna bring up our own Miss Sabrina. Oh, Sabrina's having connected. We'll bring up Sabrina and Ivan to the show here. Let's see. Oh, her Wi-Fi disconnected. Well, we'll bring her up here in a second. I know Ivan's gonna be coming up. Brother Ivan, glad to see you, brother. You here today, and I know you ready for this conversation.
Glad to
Yeah.
be here, brother. Glad to see you back. Well, having seen you back, now you're out again, but we're waiting for you to get back again. So we'll be happy to see you back safe and sound when you do finally make it to your final landing here. Glad to be a part of the conversation. Good afternoon, this Sunday afternoon community. And we have who we are going to defer to as our subject matter expert here, Miss Penny McConnell. And I'm sure she's going to offer a lot of insights, and we can learn, maybe perhaps take a few notes, and come away with some gems with this thing.
Mm.
That's
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's definitely the
Hopefully.
hope. And thank you again, Ivan. You all holding it down. Yeah, they told me that they wanted Ivan. I mean, they wanted Mark and Io to take over. They wanted me to stay off the screen. And I got to DC, and everybody's calling me, man, you ain't been on your show for 6 months. I've been traveling, okay? Y'all told me y'all don't want the bishop here. Now everybody's looking for the bishop. But I'll be back, community. You know I love you guys. Y'all know that I'm here, and I'm definitely going to keep the movement rolling. But with that being said, I'm waiting on Sabrina to get her Wi-Fi situated, and we'll get her up here at some point. But Mark, can you go ahead and read off the statistics and give us some framework for today's
Mm-hmm.
conversation as Ms. Penny will lead us, and we'll go ahead and get this conversation moving forward. Check out the statistics of what's going on, community, so you get a better understanding of what's going on and what we're talking about today.
Absolutely, Bishop. Now, we'll just kind of set the framework here because mainstream narratives often paint a one dimensional picture of Black family structures and
Mm-hmm.
homes as sites of dysfunction and instability. However, the true dynamics of Black families and households reveal strengths, adaptations, and cultural riches. So, today we're going to explore research that unpacks misconceptions and highlights the diversity within Black familial relationships and home environments. We'll discuss strategies for changing dominant discourses through more nuanced and holistic perspectives by reframing the narrative on Black family and home dynamics, and we can gain a fuller understanding of resilience, values, and lived experiences. So, a
Mm-hmm.
few statistics to consider. Married households make up around 30% of Black family households, compared to 48% of white households. However, another 50% of Black households are headed by unmarried couples or single parents, showing diversity in family structures. Multi generational households are more common among Black families. About 1 in 5 households include 3 or more generations, compared to 1 in 20 white households. White single parent households are more prevalent among Black family, while single parent households are more prevalent among Black families at 66% versus 25% for whites. Studies show children in single parent Black homes fare similar or better in some aspects compared to dual parent households when accounting for structural disadvantages. And about 59% of Black children live with both parents until at least age 9, compared to 80% of white children, showing many do grow up in two-parent homes. And finally, because there are more, but just one more statistic here, 89% of Black parents report being involved in their children's education and school life, highlighting high levels of parental engagement. Now, of course,
Mm-hmm.
there are many statistics that we could continue to read through and point out to, but we've kind of set a framework. And today we're going to take this opportunity to address the narrative of what Black families look like in reality. So now
Mm-hmm.
we'll open up. Miss McConnell, please let the people give the people a
Uh,
taste of your perspective and touch on this.
so much to say. First of all, thank you again for having me this afternoon. This is going to be a really rich conversation. I just want to make clarity. It's Mrs. McConnell. There's a husband somewhere. We talk about families. So I want to give honor to my husband Brian, who is watching this. I love the statistics that show, especially the one that showed that last one about the percentage of Black children that grow up in two parents' home at least to the age of 9. Dominant narrative. We're talking about narrative, and so the work that I do in social justice, we talk about a dominant narrative. And the dominant narrative, it's almost like it's this invisible hand that kind of leads the conversation and leads how people view a particular issue. And I would even suggest, if you were from planet Mars and you came and turned on the television, what would you think about Black folks? Just based on what you see on television. What would you think, right? The narrative, the optics of who we are as a society and a culture in this country, it's not in our favor. It's not. And so to call out the statistics that our children really do grow up in two parents' homes, that our parenting skills that we do support in the schools, on and on and on, you wouldn't know that just by looking on the news, watching us on television, in the movies. How many two-parent households do you see in a major motion picture?
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So I think we have to start with, because the country we live in is the country we live in. You know, we didn't come here on purpose. We were brought here, and we know our history. In the motherland, we did have structure. We had clans and tribes, and we had rites of passage and protocols and rules on how we govern and how we interacted in the family structure. But all of that was taken away from us when we got here. Our men were sold off. Our children were sold off. Our women were abused. And so we're still living with the trauma. There's studies that come out of Stanford about the trauma in our DNA from all of that. And that's not made up stuff. That's not ghost stories. That's real scientific. Did you hear me say Stanford? It's coming right out of Stanford. That says that there's some trauma that we have, in addition to the narrative that says, yeah, and you wouldn't do it if you could anyways. Lies from the pits of hell. Can I say hell? Lies from the pits of hell.
Speak your mind, sis. Speak your mind.
Lies from the pits of hell. I don't think there is any, and we're talking about families of color, so I'm gonna keep it where it is. I don't think there's any family of color that wakes up in the morning and says, yeah, I just want to be trifling today. On purpose, I just want to be trifling. I don't want to take care of my kids. I don't care if they go to school or not. I don't care if they eat. I don't care if they bathe. Yeah, I want them to go around with boogers in their nose. I don't think that they wake up doing that on purpose. So then why do we see it? And why is that so prevalent as the narrative in our community? I think that's one of the things that we really got to unpack today. How did we know how we got here, but now how do we get out of it? How do we fight to change the narrative and the optics? Because it's storytelling, which is the narrative, but it's also what people see. And, you know, I'm in the Central Valley. We call it Calabama. This area that we live in, it may not look as racist as it is, but the Central Valley is pretty racist. And so, and in the Bay Area, you know, I know, because I'm from the Bay Area, very segmented populations throughout San Francisco. Let's just use San Francisco, you know, Chinatown versus Japantown versus Koreatown versus South of Market versus whatever. And again, when you're coming from another place and all you see is what you see, you're not necessarily going to take the time to learn something different about another culture unless you're forced to do it. So let's force some people to look at us a little bit differently.
Well, it's a pretty interesting concept that you're putting out there, because I just came back about a week and a half ago from doing a civil rights tour, you know, in Alabama, and you know,
my son was on that tour.
To know that, you know, Alabama, all of the racist history and things that were perpetrated against Black folks, and how, you know, they took the name Birmingham, we called it Bombingham, for all of the bombings and that things that took place to the people. It's interesting that you say that, because a lot of people have a perspective of the West Coast and San Francisco Bay Area and this place we call home as liberal and very open and freely, when California is probably one of the most racist states in this country. And when you say that, people are like, huh? We have the most hate groups here in California. You know, we have the most segregated cities here in California. And you would think, you know, hey, this is San Francisco, this is the West Coast. That's not happening here. It's a blue state and things of that nature. But I tell people it is very segregated. When you talk about Chinatown and you talk about Japantown and Little Italy and all the stuff that happens in San Francisco, it's very segregated.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about the narrative, and this is why I'm so big on shifting the narrative, highlighting Black joy, telling the stories of Black folks, giving people a glimpse of what's really going on is very important, because every day we're trying to combat that narrative of all Black folks are lazy, all Black folks are criminals. But when we're formed in a society who considers Black folks inferior, um, consider Black folks as the detriment to society, it's a hard challenge, because what people
Mm-hmm.
see is what's on the news. When you look at all of the programming that goes on, conditions the mind of people every day to have this thought process. It's not like so much of a wonder why. It's like, look at the music, look at the movies, look at the news. It's always portraying Black folks as villains, as violent. You look at all of the reality TV shows here, of the women portraying Black women as these angry, feisty, violent people. And that narrative goes along, because as long as you feed your subconscious this information, it walks with you. I get it all the time when you walk around places. People are grabbing their purses, stepping to the side, and it's just like you smirk because you know what it is, and then people play like, oh, it's not like that. It really doesn't happen, but it does more often than not. And it is hard, because it's almost like, in a way, for me, I feel like you're fighting to be right and you're fighting to do the right thing to prove people wrong. But it's so embedded in our communities, it's so embedded across this country that it's like it's a norm, and it's hard to navigate, trying to have your integrity and trying to lead with great character when everything, no matter what you do, and I mean in the workplace, you could imagine working in a workplace, having on a uniform, having on a badge, letting people know that you are in this workplace, and for folks to still hold their purse, move to the side, and it's like they feel this threat. It's very challenging. And I
Mm-hmm.
think today's conversation is very important, because it's an opportunity for families, for folks to really think about what we're doing in our homes and how we are teaching our young people as they go out in the community representative. Because I always tell people that our children represent us in a lot
Mm-hmm.
of ways. Even in a two-parent family household, there could be challenges of influence of where young people are getting their information from. The power of social media is so influential on our young people. And I feel like it's like a double parenting duty now. You have to work
Mm-hmm.
twice as hard just to keep your kids on that track, so that they don't get disconnected or they don't fall into the traps of the pits of what's going on in the community. But it's a challenge. And I'm here to look at all of the solutions that people have. But I think one thing that we have to do for our young people is teach them that they are worthy, they are
Mm-hmm.
great, and empower them. Because I know when you walk outside and you're beat down from society, it can become very hopeless and very daunting for our young people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as y'all can see, my wife has joined me. She's having some technical difficulties with getting her camera together on her laptop, so she just squeezed in here next to me. But as we're talking about this, I think it's important to note that as we're discussing changing the narrative, that many Black families have taken it upon themselves individually. I know we're always trying to do things as a community, but many have taken it on individually as their goal to do just that, to change the narrative, to express the things that we don't often, or we didn't often talk about with regard to familial responsibilities and relations. And we're also doing our level best. I think, in my estimation, a lot of folks that I see get their folks out, their kids out there, to get them exposed to things that will broaden their horizons and to make them more socially aware. not only of the pitfalls of being Black, but also of the community from which we actually came, and which we are going to try to emulate once again, the pullback that notion of Sankofa. I think that we're doing a pretty good job. We can do more. We can always do more. Obviously, we never can be perfect, but I think we're doing a pretty good job of learning to integrate some of those things from outside the household that really help to build community within the household. Excuse me. And I think we're finding that we're on to a better path. Like I said, again, we got some work to do, but I do believe that we are endeavoring to do just that. As we strengthen the family unit, we know that there are a lot of single moms out there. There are some single fathers out there as well, who don't always get the recognition that they deserve. But I guess the best way I can put it is what we have to understand is that our children will be left in the wind if too many men out there say, well, I can never be involved with a woman who's already got children, and vice versa. So we have to leave those things behind and understand that our heritage is one of communal cooperation. And, we talk about that it takes a village, so forth. We need to become a bit more mindful of that concept, that notion, and start to really build on the relationships that are available to us, knowing that, excuse me, for our women, a lot of our men are locked up. Great many of them are 6 feet under. And so we have to come together to make for a better platform for our children to get a better future. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation today. I'm not certain my wife has anything that she'd like to add to that commentary, but I'm glad that we're having this conversation today because it's much needed in our community because we are all we have.
One thing that I will tap in and say, was talking about, the village, and we all grew up, with that village, with that auntie, that uncle, that person down the street that'll whoop our tail when we got in trouble and stuff. And regarding the village today, my daughter actually shared a post that someone had posted on social media talking about the village. And to me, when we were growing up, the village was the family. It was a neighbor. Today, this post that was posted, it talked about the village, and it was saying, it was basically addressing our idea of the village. And I think there was a misunderstanding there because they were saying, stop trying to normalize. The post was saying, stop trying to normalize the village because of that uncle in the family that was a little too touchy, or that aunt that put you down and made you feel less than. And just what I would like to say about the village, if there are any young people listening in on this, the village is who supports you. It doesn't have to be that family member that's a little too touchy-feely. It doesn't have to be someone that you don't want in your village. Your village is who you choose to be your village. Your village is who supports you no matter what.
I'll touch on that because, just like you said, you can build your own village, right? It's the people who support you. It's finding a safe space within your village to be able to speak about those things that we traditionally sweep under the rug. It's changing the narrative actually, and the mindset and concept of what our traditional way of growing up. Don't say nothing, be quiet, but to build a village where you have a safe space to have those conversations that us as adults still are dealing with the trauma from. So passing that poison on to your children is not creating or giving them a safe space within the village. So change the narrative and insight of what the village is in total. It is your neighbor, but we have to build up our communities again in order to be able to trust and learn and get to know your neighbor. Our neighbors in our communities that I grew up specifically in San Francisco don't look like me. That community is no longer there. So making sure that we have a place, those uncles, those aunties, that older lady that's at the end of the block that everybody calls grandmother, going to check on her. That's building and recreating your village, but also understanding that you have a safe space, that you don't have to continue that horrible cycle that was droned into you and that poison that we as adults have not been able to use to make sure as tackling fuel to do better with. That's the sad part, is that our children don't understand the traumas that some of their parents went through and did not have the resources or a place to voice that. So they're trickling down that trauma and those triggers onto their children, and they don't even know why.
So
I think
I get the, oh, go ahead, Ivan.
real quick, just piggybacking off of what Sister Io said, I think it's of paramount import for us to make certain that our children not only feel safe, but when they have questions about anything, and I do mean anything, that we're as honest as we can be with them. We're as knowledgeable we're as honest as the knowledge that we have will allow us to be. That means what we know, we can teach them. What we don't know, we can't, obviously, right? But we want to make certain that our children know that when they're in our space, and that means any part of the village, that they're in a safe space. We have to make certain that we kind of bring that home a bit, because, like I said before, sometimes we don't speak about things, and those things have a chance to fester, and we don't want that for our children. We want them to be healthy. We want them to be healthier than we were allowed to be given our circumstances. Okay, so
Yeah.
but go ahead, Brother John. I apologize.
Y'all know that watch me. Y'all know how I feel about this village thing. Okay, I'm not sold on the village. I think we had a point where we need to rebuild the village, but I'm always asking, where the hell is the village at? You look at the adults, the parents in the community, they're failing our community kids. Okay, the stuff that we see on the internet is coming from the adults. In order to build the village, the elders, the leaders, the parents is going to have to change the narrative, because the behavior that our kids are displaying right now in this country is from the adults. And until we deal with our mental health, until we deal with our traumas, until we get the adults to help, our kids, the village doesn't work for our kids, because they're looking up to the very people who are dividing them, who are misleading them, who are causing harm to them. And I'm glad you talked about the safe space, Ivan, because again, the safe space is where a kid, our family, our community member could go and don't feel like they're going to be physically harmed, they're going to be verbally abused. That's the safe space, because people just say safe space. And I'll be asking these people, we create the safe space. And I go in there and I'm like, if I say something, you jumping on me. This is not a safe space. If your kids come to you with a question and you ragging down on them, it's none of your business. Is that really a safe space? So again, we have to redefine what's a safe space. How do we make it safe so that our kids feel comfortable to come to us? And then the positive influence. Okay, I just left DC to see the amount of young males and females coming to the 52nd Congressional Black Caucus in suits and everybody dressed up. We have to let our young people see this, okay? And I think Maxine Waters said something powerful, and I agree with her, because I'm a very observer. Wherever I go, I pay attention, okay? And I'm around this convention center, and I'm going to all of these panel discussions, and I'm gonna tell you what I seen. I seen a bunch of 35-year-old plus people in these meetings. And before I could even say it, and this is how you know it's divine intervention, we was talking about violence and incarceration, one of the things. And Maxine Waters said, where's the young people at? You see, we got to do a better job as adults to get our young people involved, because we have a generation of young people who are hopeless. They don't see where the future is going. They don't understand the opportunity that's coming. Now, all of these legislative folks who were at the Congress, at this congressional caucus, was talking about financial wellness, automation, robotics, the future, and how do we digitally divine stay as a community moving forward with technology and the advancement of life. Right now, one of the biggest things that I learned, and I didn't even know the amount of disparities when it comes to broadband across this country. I didn't know this, right? Because I'm, and this is on me. We in California, we get some privileges that folks in the Midwest and the South don't get. There's parts of this country where young people still don't have Wi-Fi connectivity issues. They don't have the broadband connection to get this. We have rural areas who are still using rotary phones and dialing. I didn't know this. But when you get out and you start learning how divided this country is, the access, and this is why I say certain parts of this country have privilege. But when we talk to the young people, and I think Maxine Water hit on this, we have to put them in the space. The very young people that because I'm going to tell you, the first day I came to the conference, y'all, I'm casual, okay? I'm casual. I got on some khakis and a shirt, right? I'm just casual. I'm being California casual. I hear people talking, man, these California people with all of this tech industry, they just casual. Everybody else was out there suited booted. So the next day, I'm like, I got to put my suit on, right? That was a positive influence for me, just seeing all these young brothers. Everybody suited, got their triple breast suits on, tied up. They coming to handle some real business. And I was just being cool, But I was thinking like, wow, if me just being around this type of narrative of Black folks who really about trying to make a change, they're walking in their business, they're walking in their change. Like that's them. They like, no, we show up. Like we business. We showing up ready to go. And the influence, not that I was like, I was okay, but it was just like, just to see this, I'm like, oh, I got to put my suit on. You get what I'm saying? If we take young people from the community, that type of positive influence that they see, maybe we could get some of these young people to change from sagging, wearing their pants down off their butt. Maybe we can get some of these young people to think it's okay, because that's really changing the narrative. See, sometimes you have to see what you normally don't see. Our young people, what they see in their community, everybody walking around, gold teeth, pants sagging, all of this, and it becomes normal because this is what I'm surrounded by. And the moment you get out of that box and you get into another space, it's an uncomfortable feeling because you start checking yourself. I'm like, I need to go get my suit jacket. They got the handkerchiefs out. I gotta get right. You get what I'm saying? And sometimes that is the silent narrative change. Sometimes you could correct your own self and behavior by being in the presence of that change. So when I talk about the young people and how they need to be out there, I had a room of elders. I mean, nothing against our elders, but it was a room. And I mean, they're talking about the future. They're looking for STEM folks and people to get in broadband. And I'm looking at all the people in the room and I'm saying, these elders is not going to be the ones to do it. It's the young people. We should have them in those spaces so that they could get empowered. Because if you're a young person and you hopeless and you hear this $1 million billionaire talking about this is where the shortfalls is, this is where the money is, even though jobs is going away, young people go to school and get in this industry because the next 20 years, this is where the money is going in STEM and energy. Now you take a hopeless mind and say, man, I need to get into this. This is where it's at. But if they're not in that space, how do they feel empowered? How do we change the young people? How do we build this new village up if this information is not getting back to our young people? And that's the shift. That's what's got to happen in our community. That's what's have to happen in our country. And I'm talking to our officials, and I talked to some of our leadership that was out there, and I said, hey, next year we need to bring 50, 60 of our young people from San Francisco, not the ones that are on the honor roll doing good. Let's take the ones in the community that are on the fence. Maybe they all the way just giving up. Let's bring them on this trip. Let's get them some suits. Let them sit in there and understand where their future is going. And maybe we'll have a change in this country. And maybe we will really start to shift the narrative and tell a story because their perspective of what it is to be young and Black in this country They might get another view. Very, very important thing. And I want to uplift that because we have to get our young people involved. You know, the whole time of this trip that I've taken, it's been young people moving the movement forward, the change forward. The civil rights bill was passed because of young people. And if we don't get to a point in this country where we pass the baton and we give up the power and make sure that our young people are equipped with the tools, we are headed faster downhill than we are going up.
I want to jump in here, Brother John, because I want to go back to the village conversation. And I appreciate what Sister Io said about it needing to be safe. Here's the thing. How do we reconstruct a village? It's about relationships. We don't have relationships with each other, let alone with the young people. We'll walk past our elders in the store. We'll walk past them on the street. We won't acknowledge. We'll walk past the janitor in the office building, just like all of the clear people do, like he don't matter. We do that now. And it's about relationships because we, and especially based on my faith tradition, says that we're the salt of the earth. We're the light. We're the ones that are here to make a change. So if I'm walking in a building and I stop and say hi to the janitor, the old Black man who's been there picking up trash, I guarantee you eventually everyone else is going to be. If I take a moment to say hi to the maid who's cleaning up my messy hotel room, because I go, when I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. I ain't picking up a towel. She gonna earn. She gonna earn cleaning up behind me, right? But take a moment and say, hi, how are you? Acknowledge their humanity. That's how you build relationships. And then once the relationships are whole, then it extends to the village, and then it extends to the next generation, because that's where we come from. We come from a village society. That's what in Africa they do. It's based on the village and the clans and the tribes. That's who we are as people of color. It was taken away from us. But now we have an opportunity to bring it back and restructure it. And it's not even based on your faith tradition. Mine happens to be based on my faith tradition, but it doesn't have to be, because I don't know a major faith tradition in this country that does not speak to family, structure, order, honoring our elders. I don't know one. There may be one new one in San Francisco that y'all got that I haven't heard about, but I don't know of a major religion that those aren't the basic tenets. So this is not even a religious conversation. It's about a cultural conversation, that how do we strategically and intentionally, because as intentional as they were in breaking us up, we have to be that intentional in putting it back together. There are systems in place in this country on purpose. People sat behind closed doors and said, yeah, we're going to do this, because if we take away this, they're not going to succeed. If we burn up their buildings and we don't let them have enough money to buy good insurance, they're not going to be able to rebuild. And then we're going to show on the news, see, they don't care nothing about their neighborhood. See, they don't do. No, we didn't do because we didn't have the money to do. And guess what? We wasn't tearing up our own stuff. Y'all was coming in tearing up our stuff. But if we build relationships, and then across the color lines, because again, all of this segmented neighborhoods, yes, the little blonde girl need to come over and see that our daughters wrap their hair at night. They need to see that, because that's what our daughters do, right? They need to come and see, yep, you know what? Yeah, we eat greens. That's what we eat at our house. I know your mom don't make you eat vegetables, but in our house, we eat vegetables. And we're not disrespectful, and we're not having a fit, and we're not crying because we don't like it. No. We have the power to change how other groups view us, because I promise you, and I tell me when I'm, Lady Trina say, stop me when I'm lying. Go to any other cultural group. You're going to do what they say. You're going to line up. You're going to line up. You're going to eat their food. They're not making a special plate for you. No, you came to our part of town. You came, our stuff is in our store. This is what we like. In labels, in the language in which we understand, right here in the United States. But because we don't feel like we have power to own our own, we just kind of like floating around. And if you think about it, we're not too far outside of civil rights. We're only, 50 some odd years 50, maybe 55 from the Civil Rights Act. We're not even a good 100 years of on paper being free, but we're still not really free. Just on paper, we were free, but we weren't really free. So this didn't happen overnight. We're not going to fix it overnight, but we have to be, for every intentional thing that was done to get us here, we have to be that intentional to call it out when we see it, put the people, yeah, and it's uncomfortable for our other friends, right? They don't, oh, all the Karens and the, I don't know, what's a boy Karen, whatever the boy Karens are, Bob, right? Whatever, we're not, it is going to be uncomfortable for them. Kevin, right? Kevin. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable, Karen and Kevin. But guess what? I'm going to need you all to learn how you treat me with the same dignity and respect that you expect for me to come in your community and treat you. I'm not less than. I'm not, no, you don't get to touch my granddaughter's hair. Don't you touch her hair, right? You don't get to, you don't get to, you don't get to, you don't get to. Just like I don't get to come to your house and do it. We can do it, but it takes relationships and intentionality. And to your point, Brother John, my son was on that tour. I was supposed to be on that Alabama tour, but I caught COVID, so I couldn't get to go. I want to bring that stuff here because it's great. I love it. Yes, dress them up and take them. But then when they get back home, then what? When they go back to the hood or the underprivileged neighborhood, then what? All they got is some great memories and a suit that they're not going to wear. We need to bring the programming to the neighborhood. So that, yeah, go take them, let them see what you can have if you do right. But then when you get home, what are we going to do to reinforce the behavior? Relationships. If another person get an attitude about, because there was a time, to Miss Sabrina's point, where anybody in the neighborhood could say anything about your child and it wasn't going to be an issue. Now you can't say anything to anybody's child. I'm talking about in our culture, right? Like, don't be telling my child, and then, because you don't have a relationship. It's just because we don't have a relationship. Because if you trusted me, then I'm telling your child, yeah, baby, that's not what we do. If you trusted me, it would be okay. We trusted each other back in the day. That's why we could tell each other's kids and be good about it. And we would get in trouble when we got home because we had to be talked to.
Mm-hmm. I remember those days. And Mrs. McConnell, I want to draw from one of the most prominent stories right now, because again, we're talking about reshaping the narrative, and anybody who's been paying attention to the news or has any inclination of just sports right now, Deion Sanders is probably one of the prime examples of a black man who is uber successful, but he's also a great father, great family man, and he's in a position as a coach where he's impacting not only the kids that he's coaching, but an entire community and industry, because he's being unapologetically himself. And now, again, it's making a lot of people uncomfortable, the clear people, as you put it. It's making a lot of them uncomfortable. But even in our own community, when we talk about this not trusting each other, there's an issue where even black folks are having issues with Deion Sanders because he's being so confident publicly. And how do we address the underlying psychological division that we've developed? Because there's some of us who want to assimilate and we want to we want a more comfortable spot in the system. But as I think me and John had this conversation before, one of the problems is we're going to the same system, asking them to give us resources and money and funds to correct what they are intentionally enacting upon us. So how do we deal with the narrative and start rebuilding that community trust on a grassroots level where ain't nobody coming to save us? So when we have the opportunity to see somebody who is, as we quote, made it out, but is still an example, how do we not attack them and use that as inspiration and motivation and bring that back to where, you know what, we're going to start taking pride in the community. They don't have to send money, but we're going to clean up. This may not be the richest neighborhood, but we're going to make sure our streets are clean. We're going to make sure our elderly people can walk down the street safely. We're going to make sure that our kids can play in the community because we have a sense of trust among each other. In your experience, because again, as the subject matter expert here, what have you seen that has been productive in helping to rebuild those relationships and understanding in the community?
First of all, I appreciate the question. We've got to, as a community, stop thinking that excellence is white. No, excellence is excellence. I'm not white because I speak proper English. I went to school to learn proper English. Now, can I have a duality? Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But stop making, when I was a kid, I grew up in San Jose. I was the only Black kid in the neighborhood that went to junior high school. And when I would go to South Central LA to visit relatives, they would call me Oreo because I talked like a white girl. And for years, that thing vexed my soul. It is just now, over these past how many ever years, it's like, no, I'm not an Oreo. I am well educated. My parents insisted that I speak proper English. So we've got to break that that thing in our community that says just because you want excellence doesn't mean you're white. No, you just want excellence because you want excellence. Now, what does excellence look like? It's different for every household. So to your point, right? We may not have all the money, but no, first of all, I want the money that we pay taxes for. So we've got to vote. We've got to show up at the meetings. We've got to say, yeah, I don't want another liquor store in my neighborhood. I need a grocery store. And about these street lights that are out, I'm going to be down here every day, elected official, because I put you work for me. You work for me. I pay taxes. I may not pay as much as, they pay up on the hill or they pay up on this side of town, but I pay my fair share. Therefore, you're going to do, or guess what? You won't have a job next season. And I'll make sure of it. Why? Because I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up and vote. I'm going to show up at the city council meetings. I'm going to show up at the PTA meetings. I'm going to show up because my voice matters. Now, to the point about being proud. Yeah, and again, it's all systemic. It's all systemic. It's this crab thing. Like we can't deal with the success because we feel like if somebody has it, there's not going to be any left for me. Lies. All of it's lies from the pits of hell. We have to break that. It's bondage. We just here at Victory and Praise, Bishop Turner just spent a whole month preaching about prison break, about breaking the bondage that we're under spiritually and mentally, because that's a mental thing that says there's not enough to go around. We serve a great big God. There's enough for everybody. There's enough for me to be successful, enough for you to be successful. There's enough paper to print enough degrees for all of us to go to college if that's what we want to do. And even if we don't, somebody still got to be the garbage man. So we're going to respect the garbage man. Somebody still got to pick up be the gardener. We're going to respect our gardener. We're not going to look down at him. We're not going, I can't believe, no, we're going to uplift every segment of the community so that everybody can be proud, have pride, no matter if you make $1 gazillion or you make $50,000. That we can instill the pride in our neighborhoods. And then it'll be less about, no, I'm proud of what I do. What I do is important. So yeah, I may not be on the TV. I may not be Deion Sanders. I may not, but I do have influence because I live in a community. My voice matters. My vote matters. And guess what? My money matters. So every time I walk in your store, if you act like I'm not there, how about I just don't shop there anymore? You can talk about civil rights. When they stopped riding the bus, took down an entire industry. We want respect. Stop buying Nikes for a couple months.
So, Miss Penny, I'm just gonna say this because I'm coming back. Okay, I keep hearing about this Victory Praise Church down there. I'm coming
Come on
to visit.
Stockton. VIP.
You tell your
129 East Harding Way in the city of Stockton. Come on, I got a seat for you.
I'm hearing some great things about this church. Everybody is jumping up and shouting, brother. They keep saying, Bishop, you got to come. I'm coming to check it out. Okay, I will be a visitor, and I will
come on.
I like the work that's going on. But I want to say this because I think this is very, very important. I had a conversation with a couple elected officials while I was down here, and we was talking about the very thing that you was talking about. And when we talk about oppression in the Black community, how we overly oppress each other. Right. And I know it takes time to change this, but how do we break that bondage? Because there's a classism issue against Black folks. When you say excellent is excellent, I agree with you. But I also feel like in our community, we get police tone, or we have to tone down our blackness. Our blackness come in different ways. So maybe you speak white, maybe you speak a little urban, maybe whatever it is. How do we accept that as Black folks? Because I'm telling you, there's a classism push in our community. There's a lot of Black folks oppressing Black folks that we also got to address. When it comes to, when you talk about it, doesn't matter where the money level is and what people earn and where they at. In order to really change that, we have to be meet in the middle. Because there is a class of folks here in America that feels like if they climb the educational ladder or the corporate ladder, that they're better than folks on the lower end. There's folks in the lower end who feel like if you haven't been in the streets, or if you having a tough life, or you haven't been to prison, you don't understand. But until we get those two to meet in the middle, I think that's when we start changing the community and the conversation. I don't police tone Black folks. I take Black folks the way they are, and I love on them the way they are. But when we start getting into this division of classism and I'm here and you there, it further shifts the narrative of where we at as Black folks and how we move forward together. See, the powerful thing that you brought up is the relationship building. And I like that, because I think that is the problem in our community when we talk about how people partner with each other, how people collaborate, right? That's all relationship building. If we don't teach the young people, and if we don't teach the elders in the community what relationship building, what does partnering really looks like, because everybody talks about partnering and relationship, but we really don't define what that looks like. Our young people are watching us, and this is why I tell the adults, we are the problem, okay? Because we have a double standard when we deal with young people, and I'm starting to understand more of it as I talk to young people, as more as I assess the community and how we function as adults, community leaders, religion leaders. When the adults can't function with each other, we're asking kids, be nice, be civil, work with each other. But we got Sister Marianne and Sister Lou over here. They can't even talk. We got Bishop John and this bishop over here. They can't even talk. We got Reverend here and Reverend here. They can't even talk. And you know what the young people tell me? They say, John, they want us to stop having issues. But in my own family, my aunties can't talk to each other. My mom got issues with her sister. My dad got it. If in order to change this, and this is why I say leadership is about demonstrating what's possible. And I still believe that is the failing problem in our community. And this is why I stand with that statement. Everybody who watches know that's my both sides of the conversation definition of leadership. It is demonstrating what's possible. See, you have to demonstrate the action to get the different reaction from the people. If you say you a leader, you have to demonstrate what leadership looks like. Now, when difficulties come up, when obstacle comes up, when conflict comes up, how do you as the adult handle it? Let me tell you, because I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm in these meetings, and I'm going to tell you, the lack of humility, the lack of compassion, the lack of forgiveness that our leaders, our so-called leaders in the community have with each other in their public display, in their private display amongst people is terrible. Mm-hmm. And we wonder why our young people move the way they move, okay? Mm-hmm. It is very cliquish in these churches. It is very cliquish in these nonprofits. It is very cliquish in our elected spaces. So when we are promoting division, when we're promoting our side more than their side, when I'm uplifting mine more than yours, this is what the community sees. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In order to change that, we have to change the minds of those people first. I keep telling people, don't worry about the young people. I want to invest my money in the adults because the adults is the problem. Whether we want to believe it or not, the young people are looking at us. And until we as adults, we function, we can get through our differences. Our young people are not moving. That meter is not going to move. But when the minute me and you could come to unisys, when me and you could have our difference but walk together. See, it's a difference to have a disagreement and then don't want to walk with each other. But it's
That
a
part.
difference when we don't agree, but we still walk together.
Yes.
That sends a different message to our young people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what we need right now. And sometimes, like you said on the trip, that sometimes the only way we're going to get this information, I know you want to bring it back to the community, and I want it to the community. But what I understand is sometimes we have to remove our people from the very community, the toxic relationship, the understanding. We have to take them out of the comfort zone for that healing process to begin. Let me tell you, it was an emotional trip for me. I believe it was meant for me to go at this time because of the age, the wisdom, the understanding. I don't know, being a younger me, a younger bishop, if I went on this trip, I would have been able to have the compassion and humility for other folks. Okay. So I think sometimes we have to remove people out of these spaces so that they can get this knowledge and information and understand systemically and system-wide what is breaking our communities down. Because it's steady playing in our subconscious every day. The division between husband and wife, the division between mothers and fathers, the push. When you understand the investment that this racist system put in to destroy the Black families, to destroy the Blackness that we endured, that power. You say, I heard somebody say earlier, we have to be proud of our excellence. We had a system that intentionally broke down that confidence of being powerful because the structure was set up. White folks were superior, Black folks were inferior. Everything that was put in that system was made for you to be less than. Every time you strive for greatness, it was bombed, it was burned, it was tore down, it was unacceptable. So you take that and pass that 100 years, and you ask young people today, and they only get the surface area of what took place. When you get this intentional information, if it don't affect you and if it don't move you in a way that is going to impact, then it's not going to ever work. And we are at that turnpike, as they say. We are there right now in our community. Look at what's going on across this country. Look at these artists that are coming out. Look what they're doing to divide the women of our community, the men of our community. Listen to the messaging. And this is why I tell people it is very important to understand when you're telling the story and the narrative, how that impacts the subconscious mind. Look at these artists like Sexy Red. Look at the pervertiveness that they are teaching our young women.
Oh, I don't know about a Sexy Red.
I know you probably don't even look
it's
her up.
It's trash. It's trash.
Is it? Look,
It is
now I have to look. I need to look. I'm fascinated.
Don't even look her up, but just know.
Sis, you better anoint your eyes before you do.
just know.
I'm intrigued.
This is what we're dealing with. Okay. We have right now the youngest minds in our community, young people, 5, 6 years old, already sexually moving because of the music, because of the lyrics, what we see on the social media. And most important of all, we have adults. Look at the amount of older women. Okay, I'm not talking about these 20-year-old girls. I'm talking 35 plus on social media, twerking, doing all of these things, and our young girls is watching. You know how many times I have disgustedly left parties because 30 and 40-year-old women are in the middle of the room twerking in front of young girls? I said, I can't support this, right? This behavior is what our young people are seeing. I have to remove myself. This is not okay. When do we get the sacredcy of privacy back with our young people? See, when I was growing up, when adults was talking, you had to go to the room. These kids
had to go in folks' business.
These women men and women are in the cars talking about. Listen, I work with young people. You wouldn't imagine what young people tell me that they hear riding in the car with their parents. I got little kids know everything that's going on in the project because our parents are in the car having conversations. Because we too busy. We can't even hold our conversations until the kids is out of the car. So what happens? The kids' brains work better than my brain. They are sponges. Yes. I got young kids telling me all of these things. And I say, wow, how you know this? Oh, my mama's. I said, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
So again, to change that paradigm, to really shift this narrative, it's going to have to start with the adults.
Yeah.
Because our elders have been traumatized. I keep telling people the hurt that's being passed down is from elders. We have elders who suffer from PSTD, from traumatic stress syndrome, from all of the anxieties and things that they've been through growing up, and they're passing it down to the children. And this next generation, all I can say is, wow, where do we go from here?
I think
we're passing it down.
Yeah, I think, and this idea came to me over the summer. I run a summer program, a STEM program. I think I've been on your show talking about it before. And this year, I was really shocked at what the kids didn't know. It's like, yeah, we can't blame this on COVID, lack of COVID education, right? Y'all didn't know it before COVID. So it's really bad now. And I kept thinking, and it had to come from God because I wasn't thinking about it before. And I think I said it earlier about if you look at other cultures, they send their kids to school, right? Because they pay taxes, and you're going to teach my kids how to do math and English and science. But then on the weekends, they have their own cultural schools. They have Hebrew school for the Jewish kids. They have Chinese, stop me when I'm lying, right? And I keep thinking we have to take back our community like other cultures do. Granted, it wasn't hard for them because they didn't come over here and get their cultures taken away from them. They were able to come and still be Chinese and Italian, whatever. So we have a little bit of a struggle, but we have enough. How they say, we have the technology. We know how to do it, right? $6 million man. We have enough intelligence and integrity and people who want to see change in our communities that we can do it. It doesn't have to be a big fancy thing. What I keep envisioning, at least for Stockton, literally is a Saturday school where they come. We're gonna do math. You're gonna bring your homework, and guess what? We're gonna talk about Black culture. We're gonna talk about the motherland. We're gonna talk about it because they're not going to teach you in school. They're not. And when the kids, to your point, Brother John, when the kids get a sense of pride about their kinky hair and their wide nose and all of that, then they can go back into the world and be like, yeah, that's okay that I don't look like Kevin and Karen. It's okay that it's okay. You know what? It's okay that my great grandparents were sharecroppers. I have a notebook that says, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. There was somebody that was praying and believing God that someday they would have people in their family that look like us, that have the opportunities that we have. And so to Brother Mark's point, how do we stop this crab mentality? We've got to bring the pride back into the community and say, no, this is who we are, where we can be loud. We like loud music. We like loud colors. We like our hair this way. No, that's okay if you have a weave. It's okay if you want to shave your hair off. It's okay if you want to put a bone in your nose. I promise you, I don't care. What I care about is, are you treating each other with respect? Are you treating each other according to your faith tradition? Like, we got to get back to what is the importance in our community, and then we don't stray from it. Because again, if you go to other communities, what they teach in Hebrew school, they mean that thing, and you're going to learn it, and you're going to be proud to be a Jew. Chinese school, you're going to learn this language, and you're going to be proud to be Chinese. All of the other communities. And so I really think that the intentionality, and from a grassroots, because we're really good, that's our resilience. We're really good about taking a pig and taking every piece of it and making it taste so good that now they're selling it on the internet for triple. Right? We're a resilient people. And so we know how to do it. I think we just have to do it. To your point about the click, whatever. I hate that in the body of Christ. I hate that you could even name it in the body of Christ. I hate it. Unfortunately, the body of Christ is made up of humans, right? The nonprofits are made up as humans. And again, it is a systemic thing that says there's only enough money to go around. We Victory and Praise, our social justice team, we are a congregation that works with empowerment initiative right there out of your neighborhood, right? And so, we marched up to Sacramento, and we're demanding $1 million. Well, there was 20 nonprofits. $1 million? I need $1 million, me by myself, to run my community development center. I need $1 million. So $1 million sounds like a lot, but divided amongst 20 nonprofits, yeah, that might make payroll for a year. And so we've got this viewpoint that says there's only enough to go around. And so if you get, then I can't have, and that's a lie. What we have to do is we have to partner. So, okay, I'll take my 10, you take your 10, you take your 10, because that's all they're giving out this year, and we'll deal with it later. And together now we got 30. And we're gonna work together. I'll put up the building, you bring the crayons, this community, this nonprofit bring the Kool-Aid and the snacks, and we're going to run this program together. We're going to put our resources together for the betterment of our collective community. And anybody who doesn't want to play in the sandbox, that's okay. God bless you. You go over there. But it doesn't take a whole bunch of people to make change. It only took Jesus 12 people to change the world. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of us on this call right here, right on the screen.
So
plus, I don't know how many is out of the audience.
I'm gonna make the change. I'm calling all the Black women out right now. This is what I want to see from Black women.
All right, call it out.
I'm asking all of the Black women right now, because y'all are the influencers of our community. I want Black women to start growing their hair out natural. I'm asking all of the artists out there, grow your hair natural. See, we got to stop making fun of the very things that empower us. That's where it starts. Don't wear any more makeup. I want y'all to be natural. Hold on. I want natural beauty, because I want my young women.
No, you don't.
No,
you don't. No, you don't.
I do. No, I do. And I'm gonna tell you why I do.
He's choosing violence.
No, I'm not choosing violence. I'm being honest right now, and y'all gotta hear me on this, because we're talking about changing the narrative today. I need the young women of our community to be okay with who they are. If they see more women with natural hair, more women with their flaws, and they embrace it. I want to see the artists out there, not wasting all their money on the makeup. Be natural, so that our young babies can embrace that.
Here's the thing I want to say.
Natural, because that's where it's at. Because we are killing, we are robbing, we are stealing for this costume that we're putting ourselves.
John, I want to cut in.
Oh. Come on, Miss
I want to cut in real quick. First of all, John, hold up. Just give me a second. Give me a second. This is all natural, okay? It can be done, and I'm not wearing any makeup. I just have my eyebrows on, okay? This is all natural, okay? Second of all, I want to go back to what you said about what the parents are exposing the children to. I totally agree. And I believe the problem starts with these devices. We got these babysitting devices where these parents are giving the kids the phones, they're giving the kids the tablets, and these tablets and these devices are babysitting kids. And the next thing you know, this child is on YouTube or one of these other stations, and the content there is not appropriate at all. Sister, I want to go back to what you said about embracing our Black pride. Yes, embrace our hair, embrace everything that we do. We have Black authors. We have we have Black inventors. There is so much that Black people do. And you're right, they're not going to teach you in school. I still, as a 56-year-old, am learning things about Black people and Black culture that I never knew. So absolutely embrace it. Buy your children Black books about their hair so that they can be proud about their natural, curly, kinky, wavy, whatever texture hair they have, so that they can be proud about the people who they come from. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you.
Absolutely.
Sabrina, I haven't even been back yet.
Let me touch on it.
Wait, what was that?
I am in the industry of beauty. I am a natural hair care stylist. And I stressed it to each and every one of my clients, embracing your natural hair, actually giving hair care, not just styling, so that when you are not wearing a protective style, you have your luxurious tresses all for yourself. Natural hair, natural beauty is number one. Everyone knows 97% of the time I'm not wearing makeup. I'm out in the open. But teaching our children, especially I have a lot of kid clients, to see me and they'll see one of my pictures in the salon and be like, "That's you?" "Yeah, that's me." I don't look like that every day. That's just for me to be able to switch it up, versatility. But this is me. They're like, "You look so much younger without makeup. Like, why do you even wear it?" I like to wear makeup. It's a beauty, it's a dress up beauty. I've always been a girly girl. Nevertheless, teaching our children, yes, it is important for them to see us in our natural state of being. Yes. No waist trainers, none of that. Hey, this is me and I embrace it fully. Making sure that you understand where you come from. Like you said, Miss Penny, why do we like loud music? It's the beat of the drum that's in
Mm-hmm.
our system, it's in our
Mm-hmm.
being as people. Why do we speak so loud? Because we can yell across hut to hut to get someone's attention. There were special specific calls for people who were out in the field to come on in and get your lunch. These things are embedded in our genetics. It's not just because, oh, you're ghetto, but giving our children the understanding on why you might gravitate towards so many bright colors. Because if you go over to Africa, that's all you see. It's
Mm-hmm.
in your genetic being. It was broken down, and we were taught these things to be negative. You're too loud. You need to conform.
It's
I
part of the
speak proper,
psychological breakdown.
speaking
Mm-hmm.
proper English does not mean that I'm trying to be white. But because that's what was system put it in our heads, that's what our children look at as negative. Being educated is negative? No. But creating a place and a space for our children to learn our heritage and to get that knowledge. Come on now. Like I went
It's
to a Saturday
empowering.
school. I went to a Saturday school when I was younger at George Washington Carver. And do you know what we got to learn on Saturdays? They were doing this, and this was when I was in second grade. They're teaching us algebra. They're teaching us about Black history that you would never get to see on any other curriculum. But the way that they based those classes on Saturdays was to uplift the children in the community. I grew up in Hunters Point. I grew up District 11, Lakeview. So in both parts, when I grew up in Lakeview, there was 2-parent homes. Every house on the block. I moved to Hunters Point. I didn't understand when my friend said, "I'm going with my dad." I'm like, "Why are your brothers and sisters not going?" I was gullible and naive to what that meant. But once I got exposed to it, it became the norm. I grew up in a 2-parent home. Shout out to my mom. I see you in the comments. Hey, mommy. 53 years of marriage. But I moved to a block where nobody had a father in the home.
And I think what you point out goes back to the conversation is we have to take back the narrative and convert it to something that shifts our own paradigm to empower us. Now, right now, I think the last census in 2021, there are 47.1 or 2 million people who identify as Black folks in America. We have over 1.7 billion I think it's $1 trillion of spending power as a Black community. And if we just practical numbers, if we just take a quarter of that, 10 million Black people in America, and we got on code and 10 million Black people all agreed to contribute $10 to a fund, that's $100 million a month that could be used to build the Black community in America with nobody having to ask the government or a politician for anything. Because again, we know the system ain't set up for us. We have to take back our own power. And again, like we did with the pig, we'll take the scraps and leftovers with it, and we'll turn it into something amazing and powerful if we first could see ourselves and believe in ourselves as being beautiful, powerful, intelligent, creative people like we really are, what our true heritage and answer for. So many of us, this is why the fight is against what they call critical race theory education. That's why so many politicians don't want us teaching true Black history, because when our children get a glimpse of the greatness that we truly come from before slavery, before we had this transatlantic slave trade superimpose ideas and paradigms and mindsets that didn't come from us, and we see who we truly come from, then we would, America would be much better with empowered Black people who own their own economy. But there's something about us that we have to divorce ourselves from needing to ask for handouts, and we have the ability to do it, but for some reason we just can't seem to get on code. And I want to ask you again, Mrs. McConnell, Sister Penny, as the resident expert on this, I know you're having some of these conversations. And I used to be in ministry, so I understand even within the body of Christ, there are challenges to owning our own sense of empowerment. Because again, even in the church, you're taught you're born a sinner, which is something that I really fought against. And we're not less than, we're not inferior, but the narrative has us believing it and thinking it. And going back to the example that Bishop put up, when you have artist like quote unquote a Sexy Red, a Nicki Minaj, or whoever you want to point out, and the messaging that they are putting out. No, please don't leave that trash alone, sis. We don't need another Black woman corrupted. But again, if we have to get upset and angry about the narrative and messaging that's poisonous our conscious mind, because we have the ability to do it.
We do. And I think your question was, how do you, in the body of Christ? Here's the problem. The Word of God, my faith tradition, I'm Christian. I belong to a non-denominational church, but my leaders, Bishop Rufus and Lady Trina Turner, shout out to them, Victory and Praise of Stockton. We believe in the Word of God, and we try to live it to the best of our ability. And so lately, the scripture that we walk through the halls quoting to each other is where the Apostle Paul talks about making allowances for each other's faults. Right? So if I know Mark's always going to be late, why am I going to follow with him every time he's late? That's a fault, and I'm going to make an allowance for it. So either I'm going to trick him and tell him to be here half an hour early, or I'm just going to bring a book and wait for him because he's my brother. But the bottom line is I'm going to make an allowance for it so that I don't keep running up against his fault and getting irritated with him and not be able to serve with him, because now every time we got to have a meeting, he's late. Well, he's going to be late until Jesus delivers him from late. Why are we falling out about it, right? If we would apply the Word of God to the situations, because the Word of God, at least, again, I'm talking about my faith tradition, and I would challenge any other faith tradition, because I believe there's intersectionality in every major faith tradition about how we entreat each other. If we would just apply the Word, 99.999% of our issues would be resolved, right? When I teach Bible class about the love chapter, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Everybody wants to use that for a wedding. That's not what the Apostle Paul was talking about. He was talking about how we entreat each other. I love you. No, you don't. Why? Because you're not patient with me. You're not kind to me. You don't suffer nothing with me. The moment I step out of what you think I should do, now we got to have a whole meeting. And you never quite look at me the same. Right? You get to have all the issues. I don't get to have no issues. Lies. God knows my heart. He knows your heart is wicked. He knows my heart is wicked. And short of the Holy Ghost, and short of intentionally applying the Word of God to every situation, we're going to keep running into these problems. Now, that's within the house. The Word of God also has a lot to say, which is why we have an entire 15, I think there's 16 member social justice team, because the Word of God says a lot about what the church is supposed to be doing in the world. We're supposed to be visiting the fatherless, taking care of the fatherless, taking care of the widows. We're supposed to be going to the jails, making sure that they're not eating up the people in the prisons. We're supposed to be giving out the clothes. We're supposed to be feeding. The church is supposed to do that, not the government. Not the government. God put the church in place. So if there's issues and there's a church in the middle of the issue, then we need to hold the church leaders accountable. And maybe they don't know the word. Maybe they haven't gotten to that chapter yet. So then someone needs to come in and be like, yeah, did you know that the word said that this is not how we're supposed? Okay, I didn't know if you knew. Now you know. So we're going to shift or we're not. And at the end of the day, it's going to be up to Jesus. The word is the answer to every issue, every social issue. There's even in the word in the book of Psalms where or Proverbs where it talks about not moving the borderlines. Because these borderlines, they're man-made constructs. Well, God even has something to say about that. Okay, once you put it there, don't move it because that's unfair. You're stealing land. The word of God has something to say about every issue that we're dealing with in this world if we would apply it and do our best to hold each other accountable to the word, love, forgive, right? And even if you're not a part of my faith tradition, I'm still supposed to show you love. Why? Because Jesus said that's how they're going to know you're mine, by the love that you show. If I'm acting stink, ain't nobody trying to come to Jesus. Nobody trying to come to Jesus.
All I have to say to everybody in the community, my name is Kunta Kinte. I will not refer to Toby. Okay, they should have never took me on this trip. I learned my history. I don't speak correct English, community. I speak Ebonics because my native language was stripped from me. I don't understand all the Western civilization of teaching. Community, walk with me. I am Kunta Kinte. I will talk to the people of the people. I'm not going to go into this Webster dictionary of Westernization of what words mean. I'm talking to the Black people. If it comes out in Ebonics, if it comes out a little hood, as long as you nod and understand that you receive my energy. I'm basing it off energy. I don't have time. I'm trying to walk in line with the people. If you are moved by the energy, or if you are moved by the word of the Lord, if you are moved by the ancestors, whatever that communication is, it could be through the drums, it could be through the steps, the marching. I don't know. I'm not going back to Toby, y'all. I'm sorry. They taught me too much. I told them they should have never equipped me with this information. I will not assimilate with Western white civilization. I just can't. My mental has changed. See, these trips have impacted me, y'all. They should have never gave me all this information that I didn't know.
No, you need to have it. You need to have it because you need to have it because you need to come back and teach that there is a pride. We didn't just get off the boat and get chased through the forest. We came with gifts and talents and abilities, and that has not changed. What's changed is the landscape in which we have to deal with. But the gifts, God gave his gifts without repentance. So the gifts that we have are here. We still have them. We just have to make space in our community for them. And as it relates to the differences, right? We also have to, when we're trying to do, right? Helpers one to another. The Bible talks about being helpers one to another, right? How many times have we gone into a Black-owned business and it's just like, yeah, oh, okay. And then you try to help, right? You just don't be disrespectful. Like, so sis, you might want to, right? And no. I'm trying to help you. There was a situation here in Stockton, a restaurant that came, and I promise you, no less than 5 people, because I was one of them, came and tried to help them do better. I read their contracts. Somebody else came and tried to help them set up their food service. Someone else tried to come and help them figure out their menu. And less than a year, they were out of business. Why? Because they didn't do nothing that we said. And we were buying their food because it was good food. It was good food. And we needed a restaurant like that in Stockton. But they didn't want to hear what we had to say. Oh, too bad, so sad. Right? Too bad, so sad. I don't know what to tell you. So we got to be able to give it. We also have to be able to receive it. That we want the best for each other. I'm not trying to tear you down, but yeah, you might not want to take off early. If you say you're gonna be open to 5, you gotta stay open until 5. Because I promise you, I'm not coming to 4:55. It's a two-way street, Brother John.
Community, pay attention. There's a free slave on the run. I've been in DC. I'm in Chicago. I'm trying to get back to California before they might cut my fingers off. They might cut my toes off. Don't call me Toby. I am Kunta Kinte. I will free my people. Believe me, community. Walk with me. I am not judging you. I want my blackness back. I
want
my
you to
language.
have it.
I want
want
my
you to have it.
connectivity back. I am on the run. Okay, y'all gonna see my face all over the billboard. There's a slave that we are looking for. His name is Toby. It's not. It's Kunta Kinte. I'm running. I've been free, y'all. I'm telling you, I've been empowered. I want my sisters in the community. See, there was a time, Black women, that people didn't like big lips and big butts. Now everybody wants big lips and big butts. See, there was a time they didn't like natural hairdos. And now everybody, we got to take our culture back. Taking it back is uplifting each other when we change that narrative. See, if we take the makeup off, if we take all of these things off that we assimilate with to be welcome or feel important, because see, these young girls in our community, they hurting. They don't feel like they're beautiful enough because the system that we are in, because of the influence that they're around. Say you have to have long hair, you have to have long nails, you have to have makeup on, you have to cover up all your acne spots when you grow up. I'm tired of it. Let my babies be free. I want my granddaughter to walk around with her nappy kiki head and she still get loved by everybody. And everybody say, oh, you chocolate baby, you still look beautiful. But I need the women of the community to embrace it. I need the man of the community to salute that and welcome that, the natural beauty. Because if we're going to take our Black pride back, if we're going to take our Black power back, if we're going to take this village that we're talking about building, we have to first love ourselves. It's okay if you don't have makeup on. I'm not going to talk about you. Oh, you look beautiful. We got to pour into each other the greatness that we have within them if we are going to feel the superiority that we are. They are afraid of us for a reason. See, it's a reason why people take away your identity. There's a reason why these states are trying to remove your history. There's a reason why when you find the truth, they try to find ways to take it away. Find your greatness, people. It's in the purity of you. It's in the blood of our ancestors. It is in the trials and tribulations that we have and that we face every day. We want to build community, build ourselves. It starts with you. Love yourself inside so that you could portray all of that to the outside. If we're going to build the families up, we have to love ourselves first.
We
but
do.
If we listen to a society that tells us you don't need a man, be independent, we're never going to build that village.
It
starts with that true authenticity. Let's get it together, people. We got to build our families, and you have to build yourself. The security is within you.
But Brother John,
come on,
Brother John, I'm gonna challenge you on the makeup, fingernails, natural hair. Now, I did do the big chop a few years ago, and I never put chemicals in my hair. It don't work for me as a lifestyle, right? I'm not ashamed of my hair. Actually, I've got pretty decent grade of hair. Who knew? But yeah, I'm not giving up the nails and the eyelashes, sir. I'm not doing it. Now I'm Black and even like Black. I'm all about it, right? I'm not doing it. Here's the thing. The problem is that we're hypersexualizing our kids. There shouldn't be a 12-year-old girl that got a better manicure than I have. Got lashes better than mine. That's got hair all down her back. That should not be.
But why
now,
not?
I agree with you.
Why not?
No, because
if Mama's doing it, why can't I do it? Why can't I do it? If this is the norm, why can't I do it?
Because it's not the norm. And that's the problem. Our children haven't been allowed to be children. Things that Billy get away with,
but that right
Kwame
there
get put out of school for.
But that is the discrepancy that our young people have. Because you're portraying that this is okay for one group of adults, but not kids.
But adults are adults.
Respect. But I talk to these young ladies, 12, 13 years old. They want respect. And they want to feel included. And we not on the terms of, I'm mama, this is me, and you can't do it.
Right.
We're in a different generation.
Right. We are. And so the wisdom of me, the wisdom of Miss Sabrina, the wisdom of Sister Ao have to come and say, yeah, you know what? This is not what makes you beautiful. This is window dressing. What makes you beautiful? Again, I can only go back to the word. The word of God talks about the hair and all of that. Don't get caught up in that, because that's not what defines a woman. I'm paraphrasing what the Apostle Paul said. It's what's on the inside that defines you. If we teach our daughters that, then this doesn't matter. It's only an add-on. It's only a, dress up, be cute. But if they don't know who they are within themselves, if they don't have a sense of pride and a sense of understanding what it means to be a Black woman, that no, I am, yes, my thighs are big. Yes, I'm shapely. Yes, my nose
Miss
is
Penny,
wide. Yes,
I
my hair
have
is
to push back on that. I have to push back on that because leadership is about demonstrating what's possible. Young people
Mhm.
today look up to their mothers, their aunties, their sisters. You all are the leaders. If
We
you
are.
all are not demonstrating what it is, it's not going to happen. We're trying
The
to change
Bible
the
does say
community
that.
today. We're
Let
trying to
the
It
change
older
the
does.
women
narrative.
teach the
I
younger
need you to
women.
It
understand
does.
that part
It
because,
does. I
but there's
do
some women out
understand
there
it.
watching right now. I got to get them to understand that. If you
But
want to change the narrative, you have to
maybe
lead
they
by
don't.
example. My
Maybe
young
they don't.
babies are watching you.
Maybe they don't want to change the narrative. Have you thought about that? Maybe they are who they are. And that's okay. They get to be. They get to be all of what they want to be till Jesus come back and do something different. That doesn't mean that they speak for the entire community. And again, I think there's enough of us that have wisdom that want to see change that can make the change. Me not wearing lipstick and me not wearing fingernails is not going to help a girl do nothing. What will help her is me taking her under my wing and say, yeah, so what's going on? And really showing an interest. Let her tell me about the disrespectful teacher, and no, she not lying. About the girls that are bullying her, about the struggles that she's having because her body's changing and her mom is not there or can't help her, right? Take her under my wing, and then really, again, what I said earlier is about relationships. It's about relationships. And yes, they watch me, but if I sit down and have a conversation and talk about the fact that I was an unwed mother at the age of 22 and was mortified by it, and because they see me now, they don't know how I got here. We have to tell them how we got here, that we had to work to get
I'll
here.
buy that. I'll buy that, Miss Penny. But my granddaughter, she is 7 years old. She goes in the bathroom, she steals her mother makeup, and she's doing all of this stuff.
Well, that's what girls do.
Wait. But
do.
I ask her. I say, now, grandbaby, why are you putting all of this stuff on your face? Because mommy said it makes you look cute and you can hide things and you can look. I said, this is what your mama tell you? This is what my granddaughter is watching.
But
so when
that
my
is
granddaughter,
true.
other women, and they see y'all with the long hair and the eyelashes, my granddaughter want these 12-inch eyelashes. What are you doing?
Mhm. And
But
we
mommy
have to
wearing
teach.
up everybody.
Yes.
I don't want my granddaughter wearing 12-inch eyelashes. I don't want
your
I
granddaughter
don't
wearing
want her
12
putting
inch.
on no wigs. I
I don't want her
to
doing it
embrace
either.
her beauty.
I don't want
But
her doing it either.
You all. She's watching
But-
the lady every time she go to one of the women of the family. They're all doing the same thing. They're putting these
And guess
eyelashes
what?
on.
Yeah.
And then you know what they say? Because girls have to look pretty. This is what we do. I don't want that. I'm just telling you, if we gonna change the narrative, I need the women of the community to pay attention around our young babies because they are.
And
watching.
I think that it can be a holistic conversation. It can be a holistic conversation. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I think it can be one, because we talked about culture. One, we believe that children need to stay in a child's place. So that's what we got to get back to. I don't care what your mom does. Your mom's your mom. I have an amazingly intelligent 8-year-old goddaughter that want to do some stuff just because her mom do it. It's like, I don't care what your mom do. Your mom grown and pay her own bills. You're 8. So this is what you're not going to do, right? We got to get back to that. And some of that is just a rite of passage. Like, okay, all right. So when you turn 16, you can put on some lip gloss. When you turn 18, you can have some heels, right? We've got to bring back the standard for our community, and the standard of beauty lives within us. It's not going to matter that me with my big old age does what I do because I'm a big old age. What matters is, do I take the time to teach a 6, 7, 8-year-old girl that right now she is enough? She is fearfully and wonderfully made because the word of God says that she is, that she's wonderfully complex. Yep, you're complex. There's things about you some people are never going to understand, and that's okay. Jesus loves you, and he died for all of this. That's my job. All of this window dressing, it's just
Lord,
that. If
help me, Lord, now. I'm asking you, Lord, help me. My young generation of women is going to suffer. I see
Nope,
it
they're
coming.
not.
We headed down the road, Lord.
They are
Please,
not
They're
I
not.
don't
going to
want
They're
the
not
right
suffer.
going to
passion.
suffer
I
because
don't want
it's
the right
about.
passive lipstick. I
No,
don't
it's
want
about
young
the
girls
behavior.
saying they
No,
He just talking as a
because
granddad
then
right
they
now.
gonna
He
get
only thinking about
tattoos.
his own
Then they gonna
granddaughter right now. Y'all
I
give
don't
him a
want to
little
see
grace.
this.
Mhm.
Y'all give him a little grace. He's just thinking about his grandbaby
So,
right
Brother
now.
John, I don't want it either. I have 2 granddaughters. I have a 2-year-old that's bright skinned, crazy curly hair, all of it. And I have a 4-month-old, just as chocolate as she want to be, with tight curls. And I'm already concerned about my Cocoa Puff versus my Vanilla Girl. I'm already concerned about it, right? And they are both beautiful girls. So now I already know, because when they go out into the world, her sister is going to get more attention because she's light skinned with long, pretty hair. So I already know that my Cocoa Puff, she gonna need a little bit more love. She just is, right? We're gonna have to, and she got a head full of hair, but it's that tight, traditional, whatever, C curl. I don't know, Sister I don't know all the textures, right? But she's got tight curls. Her sister's got long, wavy, whatever. I already know that Cocoa Puff gonna need a little bit more, a little bit more than her sister. I already know that. Do I want Cocoa Puff to have any kind? No, because she's fearfully and wonderfully made. God sent her here chocolate brown, just like he sent her sister here vanilla bean. And they both have the same parents, married, legally married. I was at the wedding. My son has got one wife, and she the mother of both his kids, right? In the same family. And I already know what society's got waiting for them. It's my job as the grandmother, the BB, I'm the BB, and their other grandmother to speak life into those girls. It's my son's job to speak life into his daughters and to love them to the best, because he's the first man that they're going to love. He's the first man they're going to love. It's up to him to pour into his daughters and to let society know, no, they got a dad. They got a dad,
I'm
and you're not
tearing
about
up.
to run up on my girls.
I'm emotional. I'm tearing up because I know my granddaughter is in trouble. See, these
She not.
conversations, they make
Send
me
her
get
to
emotional
me.
because
Send her to me. She
I
gonna be
see where
fine.
you're going.
Send her to me. She gonna be
If we
fine.
believe that the right of, if we believe the rite of passage is letting the girl wear lipstick and all, I'm telling you, I'm very concerned about our
But in the motherland, there's rites of
This-
passage.
this
In our
is why I
motherland,
love
there's
these
rites of
conversations.
passages.
But it's
But
emotional and it's triggering because we are headed down a path of destruction, community. And if our elders and the women of our community and the men of our community, if we don't take control of the wheel now, if we don't set a precedence right now for our young people, it's not going to be long before we get wiped out because it's happening right now. And with the help of the society, the music industry, the movie industry, this racist society that we in, this racial school system, it is going to drive our people down the cliff faster than we ever thought.
I agree.
If this is the mentality that we are thinking, y'all, we are in trouble because
Every
it starts with
community
us.
has.
We just talked about building the village. We are the village. We have to
And
change this now. We have to
every
make this acceptable.
community, every culture has rites of passage, sir. Every single one. Every village in Africa has rites of
get it,
passage.
but I don't hear
So-
other coaches. I don't hear other coaches saying my 16-year-old daughter get to wear lipstick and makeup.
And I just said,
I just said
that you're right, and I said that as an example because I said that as an example.
I know some of these other coaches. So I'm just saying, I see these other coaches. They're teaching their young girl their rite of passage. You now can take over the kitchen. You can now lead the household. You could be the person maneuvering. They teaching them that. You are the nurturer. We're not teaching our young girls that. We teach them to be fast. We teach them to be pretty. We teach them to be transactional. We're not teaching our young girls the right thing. I watch other coaches. Even in the Latin culture, they teach their young girl, okay, now you of age. You cooking dinner. You setting the table. You feeding the men of the community. You are doing the things that you need to do. And if we in the Black community think it's okay to say the rite of passage and now you can wear nails, and we are headed down the wrong path. We talking about right now the brokenness of families.
And
we are going to further divide families because we're not teaching how to do the things they need.
And you're right. And that I was using that as an example because you were talking about makeup. And part of being a little girl is wanting to wear makeup. That's not fast. That's just what little girls do. Little girls play in makeup. I'm a big old age, and I used to have little makeup kits. Now, they was for white girls, so I look stupid, but still, that's just what little girls do. I agree with you that we need to put more emphasis on the internal and less on the external. And I think that's where you and I agree. However, again, if we don't get this self-love thing right within our kids, boys and girls, it don't matter at all because they're going to do what they're going to do. And that starts at a very young age. And it
Let me
takes
jump in right
relationship.
here. I'd like to just jump in right here for a moment. I think we need to change the language that we use. We need to change the language around what we consider to be standards of beauty. We need to change our language around what we see as this westernized, Western influenced rites of passage that we now involve our children with, because that is not the same as what we once did. We have to change the language around how we approach um, what we call good hair, curly hair, or peasy hair, or nappy hair, broad noses, narrow noses, long noses, big ears, small ears, the whole 9 yards. We have to change the language around those things so that we truly are expressing to our children, whether it be in our home or whether it be out in our community, that they are beautiful just the way that they are. I have a granddaughter. I have a few granddaughters, but but I have one in particular who is a dark chocolate brown, and from the time that she was probably 5 or 6 years old, she's been fairly self-aware because she's grown up around a lot of white folks. So, and she's been ridiculed, and she's been called racial epithets in school with not very much done in the way of intervention. However, I have, like Sabrina suggested earlier, bought her lots of books talking about little girls that look like you, and some who look similar to you, and some who don't look like you at all. And knowing that everything falls within that spectrum of beauty. And it doesn't matter what someone says of you. When you come home, when you're with your people, you should feel like you're beautiful. You should feel like you're enough. You should feel that there's nothing that you need to change about yourself. I don't know about the 12-inch eyelashes and all this other. Because I don't know a whole lot about any of that stuff. Okay, if I'm being perfectly honest, I just don't. But what I do know is that these little girls, they want to wear lipstick. They want to have the high heels. They want to wear the short skirts. They want to wear the midriff cut shirt tops. I call them shirts. My wife calls them tops. Anyway, what we have to do, like I said, we have to get away from the language around what makes you, quote unquote, look good, right? What makes you look good? Because if something has to make you look good, then that implies that you don't look good already before you don those things. And I think it's important for us to make certain that we create our children whole with a sense of pride, a sense of self-esteem that doesn't depend upon whether or not they were able to go down to the Mac counter, the Mac counter, or I don't know, the names.
Sephora.
Right. Okay. Any of these different things in order to be able to be enough, in order to make themselves up to be enough, to be acceptable, to be a standard of beauty. So I think first thing we got to do, and I've heard a lot of different language kind of tossed around, and we do it inadvertently, we do it unconsciously. We say certain things, and I think the message that we send when we use certain words is sometimes the wrong message. And our kids pick up, like we talked about, John was talking about being a sponge, kids being a sponge. That's absolutely true. And what we have to do is realize that when we're saying these different things, that they're internalizing these things. Whether or not they say something back, they're internalizing these things. And their strength and their health, be it physical or mental, has to start at home. It has to start with the people who they're closest to, who they're around for the most time in a day. And so we have to kind of figure out how to curb the language around specifying what makes you look good, and just compliment. If your hair is curly, then your hair is curly. If your hair is straight, your hair is straight. Good hair, bad hair, and some of the other words that the derogatory terms that we use around it. I was watching a show where a little boy called a little girl midnight, and I thought, why is he? Because I didn't get it at first. I didn't grow up with this sort of dichotomy in beauty standards within the Black community. Black people were beautiful because Black people were beautiful because Black people are beautiful. Every way that they come, from every geographical location, from every walk of life, they're beautiful. And so what we got to do is just be mindful of what we say, most especially in those who are most impressionable, because they internalize these things, whether or not they say anything at the time. They internalize these things, and we have to let them know that they're enough already.
Man, that's very, very
As
powerful.
a woman who wears makeup, let me say this. I'm the same woman with or without my makeup, blemishes and all. Who I am inside exudes. It shows all through me. I don't get complimented because, oh, Io, you're so pretty. Oh, Io, you got long hair. You know, when I came into your shop, all I felt was the joy. Your personality, the conversation you had with me, those words that you shared with me, thank you. My nieces who grew up with me as in my daycare, as me teaching them their ABCs and what it is to be strong, to be educated, to be your own person, had nothing to do with the fact that they were multiracial. Samoan, Irish, Scottish, Creole, Black, and Native American. You can just imagine the stereotypes. Oh, you pretty, you light skin, you this. It had nothing to do with who you are in your heart. My niece graduated last year with honors. She had 2 rows of people there supporting her because of who she is. Mm-hmm. Not because she was a popular pretty girl, because she fought the good fight to be president in her school, to have honor roll grades throughout her whole 4 years, to be that person, to see somebody sitting by themselves as a popular girl, to go and get them and say, come on over here, girl, because that's what I taught her. Nothing about the exterior is what makes you a good, clean, whole person. It's your inner beauty that you need to exude. So anybody watching here, any young woman, any woman in general who feels that you have to put this on as a facade, if when you take this off at night, when you put your wig on that mannequin, when you wipe your face off, you don't like who you see, it's the inner work. It's the inner me that I have to face. Nothing on the exterior is what makes me who I am. Nobody loves me because of what I look like. Nobody respects me because of what I look like, because the best compliment is that I've ever gotten is how I made somebody feel.
Io, we're going to have a conversation about colorism, but your light skin privilege goes very far. Don't get it twisted.
But also that
you get privilege, okay? I know your light skin privilege.
I have a sister. We're 4 siblings. 3 of us fair skinned. I have one sister who is chocolate. We never thought about that until moving to certain neighborhoods where people were like, Y'all blood sisters. You got the same mom and dad. I didn't understand what that meant. And how about we start, even you yourself, with even saying it to your grandbaby? You a beautiful chocolate girl. Why is she not just a beautiful girl? You are a beautiful, smart young woman.
That every day, Ayo. But you're not going to convince me that you don't get light skin privileges, okay? I got to get out of here today. It is time to wrap up my show. I'm getting the back off. When you go in the store and the guy say, "Oh, you don't pay, you don't have to pay," that's your light skin privilege, okay, Ayo? When you go somewhere, you like, I don't have enough.
It's my smile, okay?
Because they charge me. They don't let me go. You get that light skin privilege, okay? Don't act like it don't exist. But I'm not going to hold you to it. Community, we know colorism is real. We're going to have a conversation about it because it's in the workplace. It's in the, these privileges that we're not, sometimes we don't call it what it is, and I'm always having to check myself for my privilege. I get opportunities and access that most people don't get. You have to check yourself on it. So again, I'm not going to say you're not right. Your inner beauty, your inner work is you. I get that. But in the society that we live in, because of the racism, because what happened hundreds of years ago, light is always better. If you're light, you could be working in the house. If you're dark, you out in the field. It is real. We cannot dismiss that it doesn't happen. In today's society, people feel safer around light-skinned people than they do dark-skinned people. We have tests that show kids will choose a lighter, whiter baby than a black baby. It's true scientific stuff. Don't get upset, but it's real. You might not acknowledge it, but I know how it works. But with that being said, I got to get out of here. I'm getting calls. It's time to wrap up the show. It's 2 hours. I told y'all, these 2 hours will fly by. It was a great conversation.
It was a good conversation.
Today, we are building the homes. We got some work to do. We're going to build the village. We're going to build our Black love. We're going to build our self-love. Today, we gave you all the blueprint. Check it out. But with that being said, before we go, we always have to give parting words to the community. Miss Penny, we're going to start with you. Leave the community. Leave the young sisters and brothers something out there. I saw somebody put in the chats. What about the brothers? Because I just got to say this real quick because I see that they said, what about our young men? What do they need? Young men need men. We need women in the community to allow men to be men. When you send your young man to be with mentors, don't be in there asking why the mentor is checking on. Let him be a man, okay? Women, listen. When you send your young man to a man and your young boy come back crying because somebody went hard on him because we teach them how to be a man, don't fight back, okay, ladies?
Don't do it.
If you want to change the narrative of our young brothers, let the men of the community that's working with your young brothers lead them, okay? Yes. Single mothers especially. I have a lot of problems with some of my single mothers. I work with their kids. I'm teaching them how to be a young man, holding them accountable. And the mother's, John, why you so tough on my kid? Hey, listen. Don't get in man business. You asked me to teach them to be, you want them to be a young scholar, you want them to be a young man, you want them to stand up. When you get your young man around men, now, I'm not the person that's going to be chastise them and try to hit them and all. That's not what I do. But I want to build mental toughness in our young people because these young brothers, because they are raised by single mothers a lot of times, they pick up some of the feminine energy and some of the feminine ways. And we just got to call it what it is. Anytime I go up there in the jail and I'm working with kids and they on the phone twisting their hair, I say, brother, why you on the phone twisting your hair? Because he's seen his mama lay on the couch playing, twirling her hair, having a conversation. Now he's doing it. So I got to break this, okay? And I'm not saying this is no knock against the women. I know y'all finna come at me and say, here go the bishop. He's back to being sexist and he's back to being a chauvinist and all of this stuff. But I'm just being real. I work with these young brothers. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of our young men who are raised in single homes, they are picking up feminine things that women do. And there's nothing wrong. Women have their way of being women. But when we don't have male influence, male leadership, males in the house, males in the community, working with our young people, a lot of times, we are raising young brothers and they picking up all of these ways and we wonder why they are the way they are. Very emotional. Young men should be controlled, and they should be able to control their emotions and things. But when they see the behaviors that are coming from the house and they seeing some of the things that they learn from their mothers and from their aunties and from their grandmothers, they have a struggle with understanding what that is, So we have to teach that. It's nothing against women and how you guys are. Don't take it wrong. But our young men need men. So women in the community, because I hear women all the time, I need a mentor for my son. He need to learn some things, how to be a man. I can't teach him. But then as soon as he come under the leadership of a man, y'all complaining about things because he coming back whining, oh, they said I got to do this. Hey, you with the fellas. Listen to the fellas. But with that being said, Miss Penny, go ahead and give some parting words to our community. Victory Praise Church. I am proud of y'all. Y'all are raising leaders. I'm coming to praise with y'all. I want to feel.
Come on with us.
I want to feel it. I'm coming. Tell the pastor, the bishop will be there. I'm coming to see y'all. I want to sit in the pulpit with the saints. I want to feel it. I like what y'all
Come
doing.
on with it. So, Victory in Praise 2029 East Harding Way, Stockton, California, or you can watch us on Facebook or YouTube every Sunday morning. Here's what I want our community to know, especially because we're in an election cycle. Your vote matters. Your voice matters. Your community is vote like your community depends on it, because it does. And here's the thing that our First Lady says: when the other aspects, the other communities stop voting, then that's when we need to stop voting. But until they do, we need to fight for the vote. So your vote matters, your voice matters, and remember, your money matters. Stop spending money in places where you're not being respected. You go start your own business, make your own soap, make your own stuff. Go find a Black-owned hair shop if you're going to continue to wear a wig, even though Brother John's going to snatch it off of you. Go find a Black hair-owned business, even if you got to do it on the internet, right? Support your community. We have the power and we can do it. And thank you all. God bless you.
Minister Penny, I have to say this because, you know, I'm all about energy. And I watch them women in India cutting their hair off so they can make these weave for the sisters. And I'm saying, some of them people in different countries believe in different things than we do. They suppress certain energy. Why would you want to take that energy and put it on your head? Why would you want to take that? Comes all from the inside of their brain.
That's what made me cut my hair off. That's what made me do the big chop when I saw that documentary.
The demonic spirit is coming out of the head. The hair comes out of the head. That DNA is in that hair, sisters. Stop putting them demons on your head, okay? I don't know. Grow the natural hair, brother.
Blessed and sanctified holy.
I don't think the Lord is going to praise this one up. Let me stop. I'm getting in trouble here. Okay, Sabrina, then Ivy. Go ahead. Give some parting words to the community, Queen.
Oh, my goodness. I have to stop laughing. Here's what I'll say. Miss Penny, thank you so much for your wisdom. Brother John, Sister Ayo, Brother Mark, my wife, thank y'all because this conversation is much needed conversation. We will have to come back to it in the future. And what I can leave us with, as far as I'm concerned, what I can leave us with is we're going to have to change our language so that we can change the conversation, so that we can affect the change in the narrative, because we all we got. And we got to make certain what we got is healthy. So I'll leave it at that.
And I'll be short as well. The one thing that really resonated with me today, and it did because of all the conversations we have had here on Sundays, there is one thing that we always circle back to, and that is relationships. Relationships are critical, and how we treat each other goes along with those relationships. And that really stuck with me today.
Wow. Thank you both. Thank you, Ivan and Sabrina and Miss Penny, because again, in our community, we also need to see Black love. And when we see husbands and wives united as one in one front, that moves our community forward. So we just appreciate you all. That is demonstrating what's possible. See, you all are the example for the next generation of young people. There is successful marriage. There are ups and downs, but we have husbands and wives here today. And that's always powerful. I always want to uplift that because I believe Black love is important, and I want the community to see it. We can do it together. Don't let the narrative of Black people can't get together. We have to have they divorce. We could do it. It just takes a little leadership and get around people who are like-minded to continue to uplift that Black love. But that being said, Brother Mark, the voice, the Reverend, call out the people, King.
Bishop, this truly has been a insightful and inspiring conversation. I've enjoyed this. Sister Penny, thank you. Of course, Brother Ivan, Sister Sabrina, your wisdom and presence is always appreciated. Bishop and Io. Um, really, what comes to my mind, there is a scripture. Even though I do not operate and function in ministry, there's a scripture in Matthew 12 and 22, I believe, and talks about a house divided cannot stand. And I think because the Black home, the Black family, family is the first level and form of government for any society. And there has been a coordinated, strategic, well funded, well orchestrated attack on our family structure and unit. If we allow this attack to continue to persist and we stay divided, then we are doomed as a family unit, as a community, as a people. So I just want to encourage us all, whatever we have to do, because there are so many nuances to this conversation, whether we're talking about socioeconomic status, we're talking about just relationship issues and status, or just the mental health capacity. We need to get on code and have the type of unity to where we embrace and love ourselves first and foremost, so that we can relate to other people with true love. But we do have to be intentional about it. They've been intentional about dividing us, so we have to be intentional about uniting ourselves. So I just hope the community has been able to take something from this conversation to where we will understand that our fight to unify is the biggest fight that we have. So I hope that the family, love, and Blackness is continually celebrated and embraced. And I just want to thank everybody for being a part of the conversation. Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you very much, Mark. Very powerful words as usual. You always uplift us at the end. We're just going to go ahead and skip Iowa tonight because of her light skin privilege. We're going to let her know what it feels like when you're Black. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to the benediction. No, I'm just messing with you. Go ahead, sister.
That's privilege in its own. It's fine. It's fine. Truthfully. But I agree with what you said, Mark, putting the unity back into community. And it starts by being the change that we want to see in our homes. Number one, what you exemplify, what you exude, who you are behind closed doors, your children pick up on that. Habits, genetics, whatever it may be, your children pick up on that, and they go out in the world, and that is what they example. That's what they show. I can say for myself, number one, my pride and joy, the best thing that I've ever heard and best compliment I've gotten about my children is how they are when I'm not there. My son, especially my eldest son, that's one thing I've never had anything bad said about him. And that shows. He has great mentors. Him being in a single parent home, raised by a woman, trust and believe. I always say it. I can't teach him how to be a man, but to put those great morals and values to being a good person is what's most important. And if we remember that, putting good morals and values into our home base and letting that be what the model is, example that model when you're out in public. Being a good person goes a long way. It doesn't have to do with light skin, dark skin. We are Black people. We are one. And when we realize that and we pour that back into the unity that we need as a community, then we can start the repair of a village. I do agree with what John said. It takes a man to raise a man. And me being a single mother, I've not had that experience to where my son comes to me and saying something like, oh, coach did this, or, so-and-so said this. And my reaction being, oh no. What I would tell him is, and what did you learn from that? How are we going to apply this? because I can't tell you, I can't empathize with a young man what it is to be a man in this world, a Black young man growing up. I can't tell you that, because someday you're going to grow, you're going to leave my household, and you're going to raise your own children. And I want you to understand, just because you didn't have that in your home, to be a stand-up man for your children, for your wife, whomever you choose to love in this world, but to keep that cycle going. And that's all I have for you guys tonight.
Well, thank you, Sister Al. You know, it's always great to have you here. You always talk about model behavior. You are a leader of the community. You do demonstrate what is possible. And we thank you for your insight. We thank you for showing up, and we appreciate you being here. I don't know if the community appreciate me being back. They like, John Henry, get back onto the run. Let Mark and Al have it. You're doing too much. So before I give the benediction, I'm just going to say this to the community. There is a slave that's on the run. His name is Kunta Kinte. He will not be captured, and he will not change his name to Toby. I am the bishop. I will see you all very soon. I'm coming home to dismantle systems. I'm here to disrupt and interrupt the systemic racism that disenfranchise our communities. I'm here to uplift the people. That's what I'm here to do. So be on the lookout. Breaking news. We're looking for a slave. He goes by Toby, they say, but no, I'm Kunta Kinte, the bishop. I'm coming back strong. I'm fighting everlasting. It's going to keep happening for my people, okay? So, with that being said, y'all be patient with me. I haven't did a benediction around. My mouth is dry. I don't know. I'm in Chicago, in the Windy City. It's windy outside. It's dark. I hear the birds chirping. There's wooded areas around me. Only slaves know how to navigate through the woods to get back to freedom. I don't know how many people I'm going to take with me. But if you believe in the word, if you believe in the leadership, and you see this slave running free, all aboard. Come with me. The freedom train is loading up. I'm taking everybody with me back to California. I don't know. We're going to find a way out. No lights, no maps, no GPS. We're going to make less noise as possible. Follow me. We're going to freedom. All right. With that being said, I'm going to get a benediction so we can give a night to everybody. Well, before I go, I just want to say victory, praise, community. Go out there. I'm hearing phenomenal things about this church. I'm going to come and sit and present with all of the members of this church, because the bishop presence needs to be there. I need to feel this. I need this energy. I need this love. I need this energy that's coming from Stockton, California. The bishop will be there. Come with me, community. Let's praise together. Let's raise our community together. Let's uplift the people. All right? But with that being said, I'm going to give the benediction because I got to get it. See, I can't never stop. See, I guess this is why I've been going too long. But I'll get to the benediction, y'all. With that being said, community, tonight you have been blessed. You heard from some amazing voices. We're talking about changing the narrative. We're talking about building families. We're talking about uplifting our community. We want better homes. We want our young people to have a better model to see. We want to evolve. We want to continue to connect and uplift. The only way we can do that, it starts, one, with trust. It starts with relationship building. You heard Ms. Penny. It's about relationships. What does that look like? We have to redefine what our relationship. I heard her say something very important. We have to go back to the things that made us great. Saying good morning, showing empathy, showing compassion. I believe in this. Every person you walk across, please say good morning. How you doing? Check in. Sometimes those very small gratitudes is what changes attitudes. We're in this narrative shift. We know the mass media. We know the larger public, when it comes to Black folks, are looking down on the very people who lifted up this country. Now we have to internally, within our community, lift each other up, change the narrative, make the strive to do better. It's going to start, and it's going to take a lot of time to get there. It wouldn't happen overnight, but when it happens, it will be. There's something great going on across this country. Young Black men and women are stepping up, getting into the battlefield. Tonight, I ask, as we build new villages, new community, new relationships, I'm asking the elders, be open, pass the torch, bridge the gap with our young people. Young people, be open to listen, follow the leadership. Get in line. I heard Mark say it several times. We have to get on code. We have to be on the same page if we want to get to the end of the book. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of healing, A lot of openness, a lot of forgiveness. Therapy is needed. We need so many needs in our community. We must meet them. We must close the gap on our understanding of what family is. Family, I heard somebody say, is the number one opportunity and thing that we need to change the community. We need to put unity back in the community. We need to put neighbor back into the hood, not the hood, neighbor in the hood. Let's be neighborly to each other. Let's reach out to each other. Find out who you sleeping across the street from. Find out what's going on with the young man. When you're riding the bus to work, when you're on the mass transit, talk to the young people. Just don't look at them. Get involved, get engaged, build those relationships. The more we speak, the more we uplift the minds of the young people. The subconscious mind is being rocked every day. They're programming our young people. They're programming the community. These artists are a detriment to our community. Mothers, fathers, pay attention to your young people, what they're watching on social media. Watch these YouTube cartoon channels. I heard somebody say it. It's some terrible things that's going on. The messaging that they're putting in cartoons to our young people. They say a mind is a precious thing to waste. Our young people are very vital. I need leaders of the community to tell the truth. Be honest. Even in our failures, even in our shortcomings, be honest and open. Give the true information. Be righteous enough to make sure that the young people understand what their decisions, what the outcomes could be. Don't tell them everything is going to be all right. We have to be the leaders. We have to be the change makers. This is an opportunity. This conversation is a starter of many conversations. There's a lot of different perspectives. There's a lot of different ways that this conversation has went. The most important thing is self-love. Building relationships and unity. Love yourself. Pour into our young people. Pour into the grandbabies, to the children. Black love is everything. Do your part to educate your young people on history so that they understand what you really mean about Black power and Black unity. Black beauty comes in all shapes, all sizes, all creeds. Everyone is beautiful. Let's uplift each other. No shaming, no gaming. We're going to get there. We have to do it one step at a time. Divided, we will all fall. We must stand together, and we will do this. We will change the narrative. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. The Bishop is back in action. This is my last week on the road. Okay, community, I am back. Y'all get to see me. Y'all got to deal with me. All the ladies that's in the comments, don't be throwing no rocks at me when I get back into town, okay? I love you, sisters. I just want our natural beauty to light, brighter than everything, okay? I don't mind you wearing your wigs, okay? I'm going to leave y'all alone about y'all wig, okay? I'm going to get a wig. Ayo, hook me up. I need a man wig, okay? I'm going to get my hair done so everybody leave me alone. But with that being said, this Tuesday, we're going to have another one of our Hidden Gem segments. Again, community. We are looking for our Black community. I heard Ms. Penny say we're trying to build a village, an ecosystem. Every Tuesday, that segment is about uplifting Black businesses, making sure that our Black businesses get an opportunity to thrive. They can thrive with all of us. Let's start here before we think about globally. Let's do it here together. So every Tuesday, we highlight our businesses. If that is you, you have a business out there and you want to promote it on our platform, please join. Go to our website, sign up. We want to get your information out there. Black folks spend money. I don't know about y'all. I just came from the Black Congress, Congressional Conference, right? They talk about Black people are spending trillions and trillions of dollars. Okay, we spend a lot of money. So businesses, come on here. Let's find some of these Black folks across this United States of America so that they can spend some of their Black dollars with you. We want to also uplift all of our community leaders, our impact folks that are doing amazing work, our teacher, police, fire, folks that are just doing amazing things to impact the Black community. I want to get you on. I want to make sure that the community know who you are so that we can find out how to connect. And then every Thursday, we have our Educational Thursday. We are looking to be intentional, community. I found from this conference, there's so much more information that our community needs to be successful. If that is you out there, you have some sauce, you have a PowerPoint presentation, you like, I think people need to hear this. I need you to sign up so we can go ahead and get this information to our Black community because they need it. They want to hear financial literacy, mental health, whatever it is. Let's help our people out. We're talking about changing the family. Let me get some family therapists. Come on. Teach the community how to deal with family. I don't know. We'll do it. And then we'll have our Sunday conversation next week. And I'll be back. And just looking forward to seeing community. This is what we do. We're changing the narrative by changing the stories and the outlooks of Black people. We uplifting and amplifying the voices. We got reparation conversations going on. And we got city officials that we got to deal with when we get back because folks are being held up. We got to get our nonprofits moving. We got to get our elected officials, our city attorney to start moving and getting some of these resources to our community. And listen, let me tell y'all something that I heard while I was on the news while I was out here, okay? And we got to really have to band together. PG&E is increasing the rates of everybody in California's electrical and gas bill. And I'm very frustrated, okay? I'm about to do a little bit more research when I get back, but we got to go to our legislators and we got to make some noise. This is very terrible. Right now, it looks like PG&E is trying to pass the bill from the wildfires back to the community. So they're increasing our bills. And this is a terrible time to do it. We are headed into the winter months right now when most people are going to be using more gas and electric to heat their homes during the winter time. And this is very, very, very tragic news to be hearing that they talking about these increases are going to be like 75% increases. So you take a family that's struggling right now, paying $100 a month for PG&E, and they're going to increase it to $300, $400 a month. This is terrible. All right. And we got to hold our elected officials accountable in each one of our cities. As we talk about clean energy and new ways to bring energy to our cities, we're going to really have to have that conversation. I need my Black folks. We got to get involved with this, okay? Because we're going to be hit the hardest, especially our low-income house folks, our seniors who are on fixed incomes. Y'all have to understand what these folks are doing right now in the winter. This is critical. We're going to make some noise. I got to get some of my community folks behind me. We have to go to our legislative folks, and we got to get them and hold them accountable. This is not right at this time of the year to be talking about increasing folks' electric bills and PG&E bills at this time of the year. So, again, we got to fight, okay? It's not over. They're hitting us from all angles, but we got to have a conversation about it, especially for our elders. This winter is going to be a cold winter. And we want to make sure that our elders have heat and our young babies have heat. And 75% increase is just too much for folks in our community who already are the most impacted financially from resources. So with that being said, community, we got some work to do. I am happy to be back. Thank you to my both sides of the conversation team for holding it down while the bishop has been on the run. Don't tell them that I'm coming back. I'm still creeping through the woods. Kuta Kente will get back to California. Look out for me, community. Y'all make sure y'all don't tell them when I come. I'm just going to pop up, all right? But with that being said, you all have a great evening. I'm blessed to be back. I'm okay, and I'm happy to see you all, and I'm glad y'all been asking about the bishop. I feel appreciated. All right, with that being said, I need some light-skinned privilege. Ayo, help me out. Give me some makeup so I get a little lighter. Maybe they'll love me a little more. I don't know. With that being said, I see you all. Have a good one. We'll be back Tuesday. Have a blessed evening. The bishop is out.